Sweet. Take my slide right from me though. Unless you want to.
Oh my God.
This year it's not better than 259.
Well, no, that's sure.
You're doing have to start something until the 30. It says till 8:39 p.m.
I'm gonna message you at 8:40.
You're right.
I think I lied to you.
I have it scheduled.
Got it. You get.
Wait, do you want this one?
No.
Yeah.
Maybe with my glass of shot, maybe.
Yep. Yeah.
I have.
Yeah, just because I'm gonna have to stay down.
So just recap your.
All right.
Yeah.
You have a lot of.
I want to sign it tomorrow. Then.
This is what.
So chat with Janine real quick.
Yes, but I'm gonna try to.
Two of you, sit up here if you'd like. Oh. You don't have to if you don't want to. Gotcha. While you do, I'm gonna. So we're taking. Splitting it into two. Oh, Jordan. Do you have any favorite books? And SGA will go from 0 to right there. 3,009. Sound good?
Hey, your agenda, Jan? Agenda?
Oh, thank you. Write it down and you can tell me at recess.
I'm gonna try to stay out of them. for the next-
I usually go to bed like at 2 a.m., 1 a.m., 3 a.m.
I'm sure we're missing something.
We can do live online. Read it out. Remind everyone.
Yeah, so what I'm doing. Hello there. Adjustments. Adjustments that we know we want.
I went to bed last night. Great.
You really need to go to see none. That we can try the adjustments.
It was like that. It's like
So
very
we make adjustments as you go through.
most of the time I go to bed.
So if there's anything that changes in adjustments, often, you just make sure to remind me to write it down. So if somebody says, yeah, I'd like to change 91.7 units from 755 to 755,000. Just make sure I make a note of it so that when I read what they requested and what they allocated, I read the new number. That makes sense.
And that's what the number of things.
It's gonna be the number that the senator says. If it passes by
Yeah,
two-thirds.
okay.
And then Sadie, can you get the count up so that I know we're 2/3?
I just take a break.
Perfect.
Ready to go home.
Despite my nerves, I think we're there.
Family's the most important.
Oh, I appreciate that. Everybody was there.
One more week.
Yeah, still to this day. That's how long ago.
Vacation.
Yeah, this is kind of nuts. Wait till the round 7:05.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that it's already over.
We're doing, Doug. Doug.
Yeah.
Oh, who is your VP for Rock County?
He asked me for that.
I didn't know Tyler. I actually do know Tyler.
Time 7:05, I call this session of the Whitewater Student Government to order. If you're able, please rise alongside me as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I hope you all found the room okay. As you can see, we're in a bit of a different venue. Just to officially remind everybody one more time, now that we have been called to order, the mics in the room are very sensitive, so be careful with your whispering or your typing or your whatevers, so that it is not picked up by the forever and everlasting WebEx recording that will get posted onto YouTube for the end of time. Madam Clerk, when you're ready, would you please call the roll?
Senator Carter,
President.
Senator Janetti,
Present.
Senator Gielig,
Present.
Senator Lang,
Present.
Senator Lieber,
Present.
Senator Majors, present, Senator Marty,
President.
Senator Patricus,
Present.
Senator Purnell,
Present.
Senator Reberg,
Present.
Senator Reyes,
Present.
Senator Stroffnagel, Senator Thompson, Senator Vanderhyde, present, Senator Wheaton, present, Speaker Wilson.
Present. And with that, we will move into special orders, starting with the appointment of one Drumlin District seat. Is there anyone in the gallery tonight interested in running for a Drumlin District seat? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're moving on to the appointment of two Esker District seats. Is there anyone in the gallery tonight interested in running for an Esker District seat? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we'll move to the appointment of four off-campus district seats. Is there anyone in the gallery tonight interested in running for an off-campus district seat? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we'll move into the appointment of two at-large district seats. Is there anyone in the gallery tonight interested in running for an at-large district seat? Going once, going twice, seeing none. I think I might have missed Rock County. So is there anyone interested in running for one of the two Rock County district seats? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we are going to move a bit out of order into new business, starting with item C, Senate appointment approval of the Associate Director. We'll start with Senate approval of Director of Student Affairs nominee Maddie Rosequist. And as they're moving, know that we are going to be kind of all over the agenda tonight. We have some admin in the room with us. We'd like to move on so that they can get to their holiday week as soon as possible. We've got some folks in the room who have meetings to get to who are looking to be appointed. So we're going to be a bit all over the place, but I assure you, we will get through it together. President Bradley, you have the floor.
Good evening. Thank you. Tonight, I am honored to once again nominate Maddie Rosequist, this time to serve as your next Director of Student Affairs. Maddie has already proven that she is a steady, compassionate, and deeply student-centered leader. Her first few weeks have shown a remarkable ability to listen, to problem solve, and to help students feel that they are seen and supported, qualities that lie at the heart of this role. She approaches every situation with patience and integrity and carries herself with a maturity well beyond her years. Maddie has earned the trust of students, colleagues, and administrators alike. She understands that student affairs isn't just about addressing concerns, it is about building relationships, strengthening our campus culture, and being present when students need someone in their corner. With Oren soon leaving, we want someone who can carry forward that same spirit of care and consistency. Maddie is that person. She is prepared, committed, and ready to serve with excellence. I respectfully ask for your support in appointing Maddie Rosequist as the Director of Student Affairs.
Any questions for President Bradley and the nominee? I have one. You were, I believe, if I have my dates right, and I may not have my dates right, because I've been all over the place as of recent, that you were appointed to be the Associate Director 2 weeks ago. So what have you learned in that 2 weeks? How do you think it's prepared you to be the Director?
Yeah, so in those first 2 weeks, I've kind of worked a lot side by side with Director Smith, meeting a lot of people around campus if I didn't already know them, and just reintroducing and working to build those connections. I've also obviously been to the Student Affairs Committee meetings to kind of start to build those relationships with those senators as well, and just kind of really start getting into what all Student Affairs does.
If I may jump in, this was
Please.
definitely unforeseen, I would add, but we were very impressed with the work that Maddie has already accomplished and are confident in putting her forward to start on January 1st.
Any other questions? Going once? Going twice? Seeing none, wonderful. With that, we'll move into a roll call vote on the nominee. A vote of aye will be a vote in favor of approving the nominee. A vote of nay will be a vote against. Madam Clerk, whenever you're ready, please call the roll.
Senator Carter,
Aye.
Senator Janetti, Senator Geeling,
Aye.
Senator Lang.
Aye.
Senator Lieber.
Aye.
Senator Majors. Aye. Senator Marty,
Pass.
Senator Patricus,
Aye.
Senator Purnell.
Aye.
Senator Reberg,
Aye.
Senator Reyes,
Nay.
Senator Vanderhyde,
Aye.
Senator Wheaton. Aye. Senator Marty,
Nay.
Speaker Wilson.
Aye. And with that, in a vote of 12-2, it is my honor to congratulate Maddie Rosequist as the newest Director of Student Affairs appointee. Wonderful. With that, we'll move on to item C, Senate appointment of the Associate Director, Student Affairs nominee, Keaton Turner. President Bradley, whenever you're ready, you have the floor.
Tonight, I am nominating Keaton to serve as the Associate Director of Student Affairs. Keaton is exactly the kind of leader who strengthens this organization, dedicated, responsible, and deeply connected to campus life. As an RA, a SUFAC member, and president of Phi Alpha Theta, a student organization, Keaton already serves students from multiple angles, and he does so with professionalism and heart. He understands student concerns not in theory, but in practice. He works with residents, budget requests, programming needs, and student organization challenges every single day. That experience gives him a uniquely well-rounded perspective on what students need and how best to support them. Keaton brings enthusiasm, accountability, and a genuine desire to make a difference. He will be an invaluable partner to the Director of Student Affairs and a strong advocate for the students we serve. Today, I respectfully ask for you to appoint, Keaton Turner as the Associate Director of Student Affairs, effective January 1st.
Are there any questions for the nominee? Senator Purnell?
This is directed towards the president. What was the process in this nomination?
Sure. So as you all know, we very recently had some interviews, which were all recorded and some significant notes were taken. And so our first decision when we learned that Orrin was going to be resigning at the end of the semester was to go back and listen and review and revisit all of those previous interviews. And at that point, we felt that Keaton was the strongest candidate and somebody that we were very comfortable putting up and did not feel a need to reopen applications, purely considering it was such a short timeline. So we reviewed the applications, extended an offer this past week, and looking for approval tonight.
Any other questions? Senator Marty?
Keaton, what do you, when we hear, how will you make sure you take the student affairs concerns seriously so you go help out the whole student? Meaning, we see any problems going upon the political environment of the school. What will be your process?
Absolutely, I can answer that. So a big part of both SUFAC as well as on RA training is getting to know people who are different in our community, especially our campus community. We have a very wide and diverse campus community, different viewpoints, different backgrounds. So it's important to understand both where those people or individuals are coming from, as well as where you might need to check some of your own instances of your own opinions, cultures, whatever. So it's really important maintaining that viewpoint and neutrality on various social or political issues that are becoming more and more prevalent throughout our society today.
Senator Carter?
How has your time in SUFAC and your other leadership positions helped you prepare for this role? And what is something that you want to bring to this role?
Absolutely. So I've had the pleasure of serving on SUFAC as well as being an RA in various other organizations on campus. Most of the roles I've been put in, besides my RA roles, have been more, I'll say, I've been surprised into them. There was not really a whole lot of preparation involved, so it was more I had to figure it out on my own. Obviously, with this position, I'm hoping that won't be the case. So I'm hoping to come into this role with the same perspectives that I've always had, and open to hearing students and their needs, as well as whatever else the campus concerns might be.
Any other questions? Senator Marty?
How has your time with the fraternity and how has your time with your leadership experience with the fraternity help out students, about the fellow frat members with their grades, making sure you helped out the whole student when you are doing, if you get this position? I mean, how will you help out, sorry if I was thinking out loud, how will you help out the whole student when you get out into this position, or about the whole student body?
I'd like to clarify just one thing really quick. If you're referring to Phi Alpha Theta, that is not a fraternity or sorority or society. It's not part of Greek life. It is an honor society for history honor society.
Oh,
Right? If that provides any context to folks, I'm sorry for not including that.
Okay, then, it doesn't
I
matter.
suppose the question still stands.
Yeah.
How was your experience there?
Oh, so Phi Alpha Theta has been a really interesting situation. We have not currently met this semester, mostly because, well, we have met a few times, only to appoint me as president, only because we're struggling with membership a little bit right now. But it's been a good leadership situation for me, having to go around. I've been offered, at least by multiple history professors, to go around to different classes to recruit. And I think I've been successful in my efforts so far, regardless of whether they are in fact a history major or not. In fact, Phi Alpha Theta expands to beyond just history majors, but anyone with a general interest in history, because we offer exclusive scholarships. So it's been interesting to go around and campaign for that a little bit.
any other questions? Going once, going twice, seeing none, wonderful. With that, we will move into a roll call vote. A vote of aye will be a vote in favor of appointing the nominee. A vote of nay will be a vote against. Madam Clerk, are you ready? Would you please call the roll?
Senator Janetti. Senator Geelig. Senator Lang.
Aye.
Senator Liebert.
Aye.
Senator Majors. Senator Marty.
Pass.
Senator Patricus.
Aye.
Senator Purnell.
Aye.
Senator Reberg.
Aye.
Senator Reyes.
Aye.
Senator Vanderhyde. Senator Wheaton. Senator Carter.
Aye.
Senator Janetti. Senator Marty.
Aye.
Speaker Wilson.
Aye. And with that, it is my honor to appoint the newest appointee to the Associate Director of Student Affairs, Keith Durr. Unanimous, that is. With that, we will move on to, we're gonna go back into order, into guest speakers, of which we have none. So we are on to the approval of the agenda and minutes, starting with the minutes from November 17th, 2025. Can I get a motion to approve? Senator Majors,
The minutes.
seconded by Senator Carter. Can I get a voice vote?
Acclamation.
Any opposed? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, the minutes from November 17th, 2025 have been approved unanimously. With that, we're going to move on to the approval of the agenda for November 24th, 2025. Can I get a motion to approve? Senator Majors,
Motion to approve.
seconded by Senator Geely. With that, we'll move on to a voice vote. Any opposed? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, the agenda for November 2025 have been approved unanimously. With that, we're going to move on to student issues and concerns. Are there any student issues and concerns in the gallery tonight? Going once, twice, seeing none. Wonderful. With that, we're going to move into some unfinished business. And before we do, no shame if you don't, but can you show me the pink sheets that you got last week? You got the pink sheet. A couple of y'all still got pink sheets. I really appreciate it. Great job. Look at that. So, if you look near the very, very top, it's very important to remember that we are governed by some legal responsibilities and some legal limitations. Before we move into this process, I'm going to restate a couple of them right now. viewpoint neutrality is really important. Does anybody know what it means to be viewpoint neutral? Director Smith.
To be viewpoint neutral means that when you're looking at something, an item for a budget, for example, you're not taking outside information into account, and you're not taking your internal biases into account. Beyond that, you are being aware of your internal biases and making every reasonable effort to avoid bringing those into the discussion or deliberation.
Indeed. And what that might look like in practice is, let's theoretically say that I was a part of Active Minds, which I am not. But if I were, I might want to recuse myself from voting on Active Minds if I was a crucial part of making their budget, if I were to benefit in some way from this funding. That could be a viewpoint neutrality concern. Additionally, right, let's say I really didn't like Active Minds. Now, that's not true. I love Active Minds. But let's say I didn't. I might want to recuse myself as well, or at least check that bias to ensure that I don't vote in a non-viewpoint neutral way. Does that make sense to everybody? Are there any questions on that, Senator Carter?
Point of clarification, Mr. Speaker, for the new folks in the room, and that we should not be abstaining to anything, even if we're in that org, correct?
This is one of the times you can. Particularly because if you're involved in the group, for instance, there's a student org that I was a part of the budget making process for, so I plan on abstaining for one of those votes. Senator Marty?
Point of inquiry. Could you use viewpoint neutrality even if you are in the organization to say, hey, I care about the budget and the money and how much money we have for the spending money,
That's a
for the
great question.
deficit?
That's a great question. So you are completely correct. You can be a part of a student organization and not have to abstain or recuse yourself from the room, as long as you can maintain a level of viewpoint neutrality in your decision making. Senator Lee.
Just a point of clarification. So when personal biases come into play, is it just like what kind of values you uphold when it comes to budgeting and dealing with money? It doesn't have to be specifically, you have to be involved with the bias, I guess, or like I'm not involved with any of these, for example. Personal values that make
That's a great question. So let's say that I was not in Active Minds, but I held a personal bias against what might be the perceived mission of Active Minds. It would still be a viewpoint neutrality issue despite me not being in Active Minds. But if I purely assessed the budget, right, if I purely assessed what they requested, what SUFAC recommended, and I didn't let any of that enter my decision making, then it would still be viewpoint neutral. Does that make sense? And I'll yield to Advice Bilgan too, if you have any more.
If you personally believe that no one should travel, let's just say your personal belief is that segregated fees shouldn't go to travel expense, even though it's allowable, if that's your personal belief, as long as you hold that every organization to that same value, then you're okay. But if you pick and choose groups, then you're not okay.
Deputy Speaker Patrides?
Why am I incentivized to do that?
Bless you.
Why should I be viewpoint neutral?
That's a great question. And I'll go in ascending order. Our governing documents say you should be viewpoint neutral. University policy says during this process you need to be viewpoint neutral. There are laws through system that say you need to be viewpoint neutral, and there are like big laws that say you should also be viewpoint neutral. Did that answer your question? Deputy, if you have a follow-up.
Mr. Speaker, is it true there's a Supreme Court case about this issue?
I'm assuming so. I'll yield to the Deputy Speaker if he has details on the
Is
Supreme
it true
Court
that the
case.
Supreme Court case is called Southworth versus the Board of Regents of the University of Wisconsin system?
Is it true that we learned that during training?
It would be true.
I believe it is true. Senator Martin.
I wonder about this. Viewpoint neutrality really questions our values and who we are when we making these decisions upon it. How, this is more of an individual question. How will we determine the budget for making all these choices when we vote? Sorry, I turned into a statement.
I don't
By
fully
taking the
understand.
information and, may I?
Yeah, please.
By taking the information that's been presented to you and using a viewpoint position to establish if you believe that that number is correct or not.
All right.
So you're gonna use what information is presented to you from the SUFAC committee, because they've done a lot of the lifting.
Indeed. Indeed, they have. Any other questions on that? And I will give a moment just so that we can ensure that this process moves as smoothly and as legally as possible. Senator Lieber?
Just a quick question. What law in the state of Wisconsin says that we can't be biased? Just out of
I don't have it off the top of my head, but if someone
Says
knows
what? I'm
that
sorry.
we can't be biased.
It's a region policy and it's a law based on Supreme Court finding.
And it's law.
I don't know the number. I think it's 19 something. I can look it up while you're working.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Wonderful. With that, we are going to move into Rock Campus Annual Allocation Budget Recommendations for fiscal year 27. The way we're going to open this up is by initially saying, does anybody want to make a motion on anything they're seeing right here? So some folks might have that paper. Otherwise, if we could pull it up, and I'll give a moment for it to be pulled up. Everyone can take a look. So just so we're clear, this is for the Rock County campus. It's not for Whitewater campus, it's for the Rock County campus. There it is right there. And I'll start by giving a few seconds for everybody to look over it, read over it. We've had roughly 7 days since it was introduced, but I'll give you just a couple more minutes as
We lost my. God, I love that pink sheet.
Yes. All righty.
Love it.
Any adjustments? Going once? Going twice? I have one. So what you might do if you have one is you would raise your placard. And because my head is going to be down for most of this meeting, looking at line items, what that means I might not see you. So it helps if you give a little, right? Otherwise, we have the wonderful parliamentarian here just to my left, very ready to point you out, tap me on the shoulder and say, Senator Wheaton has a question or whatnot. So I do have a motion I would like to make. I move to split the student activities, parentheses, SGA line item into two different line items, one being student activities and one being SGA. And student activities will have $0 for this year. And SGA will have $3,950. I don't know how we're gonna record that on the screen. I don't know how,
On the screen?
I don't know if I'm doing that. But,
It is.
Kim's on it behind you on the whiteboard.
okay, there's a wonderful whiteboard behind me that I'm just now seeing, and that we will keep track of all the motions with. So take a look. We're gonna take it real slow. So we're splitting SGA.
Speakers are second on the motion.
I'm breaking down the whiteboard system here, just for everybody to realize that this is how we're keeping track of motions. Motion on the floor right now is to split SGA into two. SGA will get $39.50. Students, student activities will get $0. Look for a second. Seconded by Senator Lynn. Wonderful. With that, we are on to discussion for the motion. I'm just going to yield very quickly my starting discussion to Janine, if you'd like to explain why we're making the motions.
Yes, the reason that we are making this motion is because the student activities, if you recall at the last meeting, we talked a lot about making movement of what was previously allocable to non-allocable. We moved student activities to non-allocable, and with that came $3,950 that should have stayed in allocable for student government. So that's why the motion is being made. So nothing is changing with the overall totals for the percentages or anything. We're not adding or subtracting any dollars. We're just moving. We're reallocating from non-allocable to allocable for the student government portion of the funding.
Wonderful. Is there any other discussion on that motion? Deputy Speaker Patrice.
So just clear, you're not asking for an additional 3,950, it's to move 3,950 from the non-allocable side to the allocable side.
Correct.
Any other discussion? Once, going twice, seeing none, just as a little recap. You got your pink sheet. Changes or adjustments made by WSG is passed by a 2/3 vote. That means for any of these adjustments today to go through, or for anything to be approved or rejected, it has to receive 2/3. So with that, Madam Clerk, when you're ready, would you please call the roll on the motion in question?
Senator Geelig, Senator Lang,
Aye.
Senator Liebert, Senator Majors, Senator Marty,
Aye.
Senator Patricus,
Aye.
Senator Purnell,
Aye.
Senator Reberg, Senator Reyes,
Aye.
Senator Vanderhyde, Senator Wheaton, Senator Carter,
Aye.
Senator Janetti, Speaker Wilson.
Aye. And with that, the motion carries unanimously. So it should now read 2 line items, split into 2, with SGA receiving 3950. We'll keep track of that on our sheets. If you're following along on a sheet or online, it might make sense to write that down somewhere so that as we now move into line item by line item, you can always make a motion to adjust something as we move line item by line item as well. But I like to start by making sure that we can go through and do any adjustments that folks came in the room and were ready to do. But when I get to those 2 line items, I will read them both off. So if you're saying, oh, it doesn't look like that up there, that's because we have now changed that in motion land. So with that, I will move on to Academic Skill Learning Support Center. They requested $0. Rock seg fee recommendation is $0. Any discussion? Once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we'll move on to competitive sports, volleyball, soccer, and recreation. They requested $0. Seg fee recommendation is $0. Discussion? Once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we'll move on to engineering club. Requested $930. Recommended $930. Any discussion? Once, going twice, seeing none. Wonderful. With that, we are on to green scene with an allocation request of $750 and a recommendation of $750. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we are on to Grandma's House with an allocation request of $1,200 and a recommendation of $1,200. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we are on to Imagination Incorporated with an allocation request of $0 and a recommendation of $0. Any discussion? Once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to InterVarsity with an allocation request of $2,100, recommendation of $2,100. Any discussion? Senator Marty?
What would InterVarsity be using this money for $2,100 for?
That's a good question. The breakdown is normally given during the seg fee recommendation process. So I could yield to the folks in the room, but I would assume that they might not have it pulled up, but if they do, you're welcome to say now. But
Yeah, hang on. Let me just pull up their request. Okay, the InterVarsity Club has a variety of things that they are using the dollars for. 450 of that amount goes towards an event that they put on campus called the Mark Drama. It's a play that they do in March. They do the play here, but they also do it at the Rock campus. And then the remaining of those funds are going to help for conference leadership training for 2 different conferences.
Is there any other discussion? Once, twice, seeing none. That we are on to Latinos Unidos with a request of $4,000 and a recommendation of $4,000. Any discussion? Going once, or twice, seeing none. With that, we are on to Music Productions with a request of $0, a recommendation of $0. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Phi Theta Kappa with a allocation of $1,000 and a recommendation of $1,000. Discussion. Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Program Board with a request of $0 and a recommendation of $0. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Student Activities with a request of $0 and an allocation of $0. And with that, we are, any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we are on to SGA with a request of $3,950 and a recommendation of $3,950. Any discussion? Little note for folks, if you're following along, this is where you would see the change made. Following, wunderbar. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we are on to the Alliance with a request of $600 and a recommendation of $600. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we are on to Theater and Performing Arts Association with a request of $0 and a recommendation of $0. And if you see, we are now on to a very important line item, total allocable recommendation. It means that we've made it all the way to the bottom. If anyone has any adjustments they'd like to make to anything that they just went through or discussion items to make, you're more than welcome. Senator
Would
Martin?
there be a way to put move some money around to fill up the theater, to fill up eligibilities for the Theater Performance Arts Association? Or is there not a demand for it in Rock County?
There is no demand for it. They did not request any money. They requested $0, so to give them any money would be pointless.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Okay. Wonderful. Any other discussion? So the new, sorry, Gilly?
I guess my question is, why is it still on there? It no longer exists.
That's a great question. Advisor Billy?
Typically when we do fees, we keep them in a list for a couple of years because we're never sure if something's gonna be gone forever or if it might come back. And so that helps us maintain the level of funding that that organization had, and that's true for both the Rock and Whitewater campuses, because it's important to keep hold the space, just so people know, oh yes, we used to do that, or right now especially, it helps you not confuse last year and this year.
Okay.
Total fee. Yeah, it's a math thing.
Wonderful. Any other discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, the new allocation request is $14,800. And the new allocation recommendation is $14,800. Looking for a motion to approve. Senator Lieber. Seconded by Senator Wheaton. With that, we will move into a voice vote. Can I get a voice vote?
Acclamation.
Any opposed? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Wonderful. With that, the Rock County Campus Annual Allocation Budget Recommendation for fiscal year 27 is approved unanimously. For those of you in the room that just went through that for the first time, congrats. We made it through. It wasn't that hard, was it? And I've got great news. I am going to call a recess for 2 minutes so that I have a parliamentarian here when I'm going through line item by line. 2-minute recess. Congrats. Parliamentarian is our resident expert on parliamentary procedure. Deputy Speaker. So Nick will be able to do that.
I
So,
chose not to.
I'm going to pause.
Yes.
But that's not normal.
If we don't.
Nope.
So want to.
If you want to start the recording, I'm about to end.
Already started, good sir. Thank you.
Call this meeting back to order. And with that, we are on to item B of unfinished business, which is SUPAC annual allocation budget recommendation for fiscal year 27. I think we do have an update on the total.
At the end.
Huh?
At the end.
At the end, you want to do it? Okay, wonderful. With that, then we will move into a space where anyone can make adjustments if they would like. What's?
Just clarification.
Right, yeah.
Is this for everything?
Yeah, so could we zoom out just for a moment? And I'll pick up my sheet here as well. Anything on this list? Want to make an adjustment that you know you want to make to anything on this list? You're welcome to do it now. Otherwise, you can also make it while we're going line item by line item. It's just much easier if you do it now. Senator Lang.
I move to adjust the recommended allocation of the Whitewater student government from $36,056 to $39,056 in order to align with the original requested amendment of the WSG budgeting committee and the original amount that was previously presented to this body.
Wonderful. Motion's looking for a second. Seconded by Senator Geely, Senator Janetti. I'm so sorry. Wonderful. With that, we're on to discussion. Senator Lang, if you want to open up discussion on the motion, you're welcome.
So if I am correct, the original reason that WSG did not receive the additional $3,000 is because the reason given to SUFAC was too vague, from what I was told and what I saw. Basically, we're asking for an additional $3,000 for an e-board bonus, and we did not want to put an umbrella bonus on any specific.
Senator Marty?
If we have the e-board bonus, how will the senators who are elected to represent the constituents be represented, and what can we do better for if we vote for this money?
Is that phrased at the
Sorry,
senator making the
phrase-
motion?
Feeling.
No, you don't have to rephrase it. I'm just asking if it was directed toward the senator making the motion.
This is just to, if we vote for an e-board bonus, will this money be done for people to help, will this be done for e-board members to do a better job and making sure that we will have a better time of representing the constituents who brought us here in the seat?
Senator Lang, you're welcome.
I'll yield to President Bradley.
President Bradley, if you have an answer.
The reason that there was a request for a bonus is that directors are working at a higher level than they did previously when this amount was previously recommended. The reason it's not a blanket umbrella bonus is it's really hard to kind of judge or gauge what a year is going to look like, right? Some years it could be really academic affairs heavy with Act 15 and things like that. Some years it could be really student affairs heavy, we're working on parking. So it's hard to say if all directors should receive the same amount. And that's why we felt more comfortable putting it as a bonus line item that would be determined how it's allocated to directors from the president and vice president as they're the overseers of the e-board.
SUFAC.
Just so you all know, when I'm speaking to you up here right now, I'm speaking in my purview as vice chair of SUFAC and graduate studies representative for SUFAC, not in relation to student government, despite the quarter zip that I chose to wear today. Just to give some context behind the deliberations regarding this item, SUFAC felt not only that the request was too vague, we often request very specific determinations of what allocations will be going to and to whom they will be going to. But that because it was not determinate, it's a one-time item, right? A lot of the things that we took out of our recommendations were one-time purchases, which are best fit for a contingency fund request. So in our deliberations, we said that we think this could be a good idea, but would be better fit for a contingency fund request in the year in which whomever is an executive feels that it is appropriate to make that request.
In addition, this was to be consistent with other organizations. If a lot of other requests, we had a lot of other requests that lacked detail or lacked things like that. And to be consistent with them, we had cut it from the recommendations for other organizations, including this one.
Senator Gillig and then Senator Purnell.
I guess in the case of, I forgot my question now.
Senator Purnell.
I believe that the intent for this line item addition is to have an e-board bonus going forward in multiple years. This to be a reoccurring expense. It just solidifies that this is something that we are expecting to spend this amount every year going.
Senator Martin.
What about what do we do if the E-board member's not meeting up to the qualifications in order to get the bonus? Meaning
from a functional perspective.
Yep.
The main overseeing and ability to be held accountable by the e-board is held within the president and vice president. So I think it would be in their purview, but I'd be willing to yield to the folks who hold the titles now. President Bradley?
I would agree. That's why it's not included as a blanket bonus. It's to ensure that folks do actually deserve that bonus or raise. It would be determined by the president and vice president.
SUFAC up front.
That question is why we cut it from the recommendation is because we didn't know that.
Senator Gillig?
So is it fair to say, so SUFAC's recommendation is that we should not get the money for the bonuses, correct?
The recommendation is that those specific dollars in this year's request should not be allocated in their yearly budget for FY27. However, if they chose to come forward, the SUFAC would deliberate at that time with a contingency request. It's simply that it did not fit the guidelines that we had created and set for other organizations as well within the deliberation process.
The way our line items work, it's not we're cutting e-board bonuses. The recommendation is $31,100 in student wages, and however the organization would like to distribute that, if that part of that goes to bonuses, that is entirely in their purview.
Wonderful. Any other discussion? I have a little bit of discussion. As I was a member of the budget committee and intensely involved in creating this budget, I intend to abstain. Senator Gillig?
I'm personally gonna vote no because I believe that SUFAC committee has good reason to not include the bonuses within the budget. As I said, obviously, they're not saying that the bonuses aren't possible, but just they don't fit into this current budget, so.
Any other discussion? Going once? Senator Lang?
Personally, I would encourage a vote of yes on this. Our e-board does an awful lot for all of us. Not just for us, but for the entire student body, a lot more than I think people realize. I know I've been here very late at night with some of the directors working on things. And the hours that are put on paper for e-board are oftentimes not reflected of what an e-board member actually puts in and how dedicated they are to the student body. And I think this is just a nice way of paying that forward.
Senator Marty, is that a placard?
Yes.
Senator Marty?
Would the e-board members be willing to give us, the fellow elected senators some responsibility too? Meaning, yes, there's a job title, but sometimes,
Senator Marty, I'm not sure how the question is relevant to the motion at hand.
um, could some of this bonus job title be put onto the responsibility of all from the fellow senators?
It's my understanding that the SUFAC is recommending what is it, 31, 32, 33?
$31,100 in student wages. Sorry, that was loud.
Wages, and it will be at the purview of the president to distribute that how they'd like. Did that answer your question?
Okay. It does.
Any other discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none, wonderful. Just as a reminder, all motions need a 2/3 vote to carry. So, Madam Clerk, when you're ready, would you please call the roll?
Senator Lang,
Aye.
Senator Liebert,
Nay.
Senator Majors,
Nay.
Senator Marty,
Nay.
Senator Patricus,
Abstain.
Senator Purnell,
I will abstain.
Senator Reber, Senator Reyes,
Aye.
Senator Vanderhyde,
Nay.
Senator Wheatman,
Abstain.
Senator Carter,
Abstain.
Senator Janetti,
Nay.
Senator Geelig,
Nay.
Speaker Wilson,
Abstain. Wonderful. In a vote of 2-6 to 6, the motion fails. Wonderful. With that, we will move into any other adjustment motions that want to be made. Are there any other adjustment motions on the floor? Going once. I have one. I move to amend the recommendation for Financial Management Association from 4,756 to 5,256, which is adding $500. Looking for a second. Seconded by Senator Reyes. Wonderful. With that, we're into discussion. So I had lots of organizations reach out to me over the last week or so asking for different adjustments to be made. I thought far and away that this one was pretty warranted. They wanted to add 5 people to one of their trips. It was stated in their deliberation that it was the most important trip they had. Their membership has grown extensively over the last year. They've gone from 100 members to 300 plus members, with 100 members coming weekly. So I thought 5 members added to the trip made sense. So that adds 500 with, I would like to add that they said that they didn't want to add any cars. If they were to have added cars to the trip, it would have gone up by roughly another $1,000. But the organization had a lot of respect for SUFAC and all the work that they did, the recommendation they made. So they just want to add those 5 folks. That's why I decided that I think I'd make the motion. Any other discussion? Going once? Going twice? Senator Wheaton?
Do you have any insight to what the trip is about?
It's a trip to I believe it's Crystal Lake, Castle Lake, something like that. It's Castle Lake. They had 3 trips as a part of their recommendation. They had cited this as their most important trip. They are connected with an advisor who allows them to go kind of every year. As membership grows, they might want to have more folks go. I can yield to someone who's here. Otherwise, yeah.
Are you asking to, did you move to change the number of travelers from 25 to 30?
Yeah.
Is that the request? Okay.
Well, I mean, the particular motion is
Yeah, but
Yeah, that's
that's the
just,
intent of the.
yeah.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Going once? Going twice? Seeing none, wonderful. With that, we will move into a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, when you're ready, would you please call the roll?
Senator Lieber.
Nay.
Senator Majors. Senator Marty.
Aye.
Senator Patricus.
Abstain.
Senator Brunel.
Aye.
Senator Reber. Senator Reyes.
Aye.
Senator Vanderhyde.
Aye.
Senator Wheaton.
Aye.
Senator Carter.
Aye.
Senator Janetti.
Aye.
Senator Geelig.
Aye.
Sorry, can you repeat that? Senator Lang.
Aye.
Senator Majors. Aye. Speaker Wilson.
Aye. Wonderful. With that, in a vote of 12-2, the motion carries. And Financial
Point-
Management
point of
Association.
clarification.
What?
It should be 11 to 1 to 1. There was an abstention.
Thank you.
12.
In 12-1, the motion carries. And Financial Management Association will, instead of reading 4,756, read 5,256. Wonderful. Is there any other motion adjustments that people would like to? Reminder that as we go through, you're welcome to make any adjustments as we're going line item by line. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Wonderful. We are now going to move into line item by line item allocation changes. So we'll start with 91.7 The Edge WSUW with a requested allocation of $15,736 and an allocation recommendation of $14,951. Is there any discussion? Going once? Going twice? Senator Marty?
The Edge is going to is our radio station. Is the reason for this big amount is to pay for the broadcasting onto the radio station?
Yeah, that's what many of the services. That's what a lot of the budget is. I think it's services. Yeah. Most of services is for licensing fees. So like 695, 739, 240, 462, 800 is all for licensing music. They have 3 phones, and 2,000 is for a federally required engineering maintenance engineer. So that's what majority of their budget is. Travel is for students to travel. Student wages is for members of their executive board to receive some stipends, and yeah.
Any other discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none, wonderful. With that, we're on to Accounting Society with a request of $905 and an allocation recommendation of $755. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none, wonderful. With that, we are on to Active Minds with a request of $1,500 and an allocation of $560. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none, wonderful. With that, we are on to
Active, not active minds.
It's active, not active minds.
Oh. Or active. So active has a total allocation request of 1,500 and an allocation recommendation of 560. Any discussion? Going once, going twice? Yep.
Give us 1 second here.
Do you have a discrepancy?
There's a discrepancy between our notes and the spreadsheet.
Sounds good.
Oh. Total that you have? Yeah, that's all. Sorry.
Never mind.
For the disruption.
No discrepancy?
No discrepancy.
Okie dokie. With that, we are on to Active Minds with a total allocation request of $8,489 and an allocation recommendation of $4,566. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Wonderful. With that, we are on to ADA SAI with a total allocation request of $1 and an allocation recommendation of $1. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Wonderful. With that, we are on to Alloy with a request of $8,061 and an allocation of $0. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Seeing none. Wonderful. With that, we are on to the American Choral Directors Association with a request of $310 and an allocation of $310. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Wonderful. With that, we are on to American String Teachers Association with a request of $4,195 and an allocation of $3,935. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Army ROTC with a total request of $2,130 and an allocation of $0. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Wonderful. With that, we're on to the Association for Computing Machinery with a request of $3,072 and an allocation recommendation of $1,693. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to the Association for Supply Chain Management with a total allocation request of $8,915 and a recommendation of $3,529. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Beekeepers Club with a request of $20,812 and an allocation of $3,100. With that, we are on to the Black Student Union with a request of $23,060 and an allocation recommendation of $12,490. Any discussion? Senator Marty?
What is some of the reasons for BSU to use $23,000?
The reasoning for their request.
Yeah.
Happy to help.
Yes, please.
So this one was pretty unclear in the request. We had a couple checks for what you're asking for, right? We had a couple checks for that. So in the application itself, the Connect 2 form, 17,000 flat was requested. In the supplemental materials that we got, was just a list of items with no totals, or when there was totals, they didn't really add up. But eventually, during the hearing, we got to a total request of 23,310. Where's the 17? Oh.
No, that's right.
Yeah. So it's just really unclear requests. So we went through their supplemental documents and tried to piece together what we could, I guess. And that's what we got to. And much of that stuff was outside of guidelines or one-time expenses or things SUFAC cannot fund or seg fees cannot be used for. And so we cut a lot of that. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Wonderful. With that, we're on to Cheddar Together with a total allocation request of $2,330 and an allocation of $783. Any discussion? Once, or twice, seeing none. Wonderful. With that, we're on to Chess Club with a request of $200, an allocation recommendation of $200.
Motion to change the budget of chess club from $200 to $500.
Looking for a second? Seconded by Senator Reyes. With that, we're on to discussion. Senator Marty?
I'm gonna have Senator Reyes take over the floor to explain why this motion, because yeah.
He's yielded his time to you, Senator Reyes?
So, yeah, I think it's best to increase the budget from 200 to 500 because $200 is not really enough to cover all the expenses such as traveling and supplies, especially for traveling, they have zero. I think they could allocate 300 of those 500 to travel, especially if they want to like travel to other schools and represent Whitewater, play against other schools.
Senator Geely?
Did anybody from the chess club approach you asking for an increase in the budget at all? Anyone? No.
Is that, I assume that question's to the, I mean, it could be to the whole floor, but.
Mostly.
Senator Marty,
Yeah.
did someone approach you? No? Okay. From SUFAC, from the front?
Just to provide some clarification, the request from Chess Club for what they felt was sufficient funding was $200. They were allocated what they requested. When organizations are requesting travel allocations from SUFAC, there's a whole spreadsheet that they fill out with information, which I'm sure you all saw when you looked through the binder in the WSG office in the last week. That gives us information about how many students are traveling, where they're traveling to, all of that. So SUFAC generally would need more information to approve something like that, but of course that's up to you all. But just for clarification, Chess Club received what they requested and believed was sufficient for their organization.
SUFAC.
On top of that, I think it'd be inappropriate to allocate more than what their group is asking for.
President Bradley?
Well, I'd ask a question of the motion in the second. Similar to Senator Geelig's question, nobody approached you. Do you have any biases that might have led you to make this motion?
Nope. Can I abstain from that vote?
You can only abstain during a vote. President Bradley?
Do either of you hold a position within Chess Club?
No, I do not.
You just.
That's why I yield my time to Senator Gill. That's why I yield my time to him, to Gabriel.
Yeah.
President Bradley with a follow-up?
Can you disclose what position you hold in Chess Club?
Sure. I am the vice president.
Senator Purnell?
Senator Reyes discussed a possibility for travel. I see there was nothing requested for travel. Or sorry, nothing given for travel.
And nothing requested is correct.
Yes. Are there more details about this future travel that we know of? Or is it more of a vague, we may travel in the future?
It's more vague that like we may travel in the future. Not like with any specific plans.
Senator Purnell?
I feel that this addition would best be suited for a contingency request instead of a yearly request.
Any other discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Wonderful. With that, Madam Clerk, when you're ready, would you please call the roll?
Senator Majors. Senator Marty.
Abstain.
Senator Patricas.
Abstain.
Senator Purnell.
Nay.
Senator Reberg.
Nay.
Senator Reyes.
I abstain.
Senator Vanderhyde. Senator Wheaton.
Nay.
Senator Carter.
Nay.
Senator Janetti. Senator Geelig. I'm sorry, can you speak up?
Nay.
Senator Lang,
Yeah.
Senator Liebert,
Nay.
Speaker Wilson,
Nay. And in a vote of 0 to 11 to 3, the motion fails. Any discussion on chess club? Going once, going twice? Seeing none, wonderful. With that, we're into Circle K International with a request of $2,408 and an allocation of $1,858. Any discussion? Going once, going twice? Seeing none, wonderful. With that, we're into the Coalition Against Sexual and Interpersonal Violence with a request of $800 and an allocation of $800. Any discussion? Going once, going twice? Seeing none, with that, we're in the Coffee Lovers Club with a request of $678 and an allocation of $678. Any discussion? Going once, going twice? Seeing none, with that, we're on to the College Democrats with a request of $2,100 and an allocation recommendation of $1,150. Any discussion? Going once, going twice? Seeing none, with that, we're on to the College of Business and Economics Latino Student Association, apostrophe C, parentheses C. Requested total allocation, $1,555, with an allocation recommendation of $388. Any discussion? Going once, going twice? Seeing none, with that, we are on to Collegiate Entrepreneurs Association with a total allocation request of $13,380 and an allocation of $7,280. Any discussion? Going once, going twice? Seeing none, with that, we are on to Coloring Club with a request of $157 and an allocation of $157. Any discussion? Going once, going twice? Seeing none, with that, we're on to the Concert Fund SAI with a request of $1 and an allocation of $1. Any discussion? Once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Crew with a request of $5,000 and an allocation of $5,000. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Dance Company with a request of $550 and an allocation of $550. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Data Analytics Club with a request of $400 and an allocation of $400. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to DECA Collegiate with a request of $21,250 and a allocation recommendation of $16,750. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Dungeons and Dragons Club with a request of $429 and an allocation of $390. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Economic Society with a request of $600 and an allocation of $600. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Empower with a request of $350 and an allocation of $310. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Enactus UB-Whitewater with a request of $25,122 and an allocation of $16,234. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Evolve Whitewater with a request of $1,500 and an allocation.
So
Senator Marty?
Question for Evolve Whitewater. Could Evolve Whitewater get some of the money from its congregation? Or, because I know that Evolve Whitewater is a portion of a bigger church in Milwaukee.
Student organizations are able to fundraise as long as it's in compliance with obviously law and university policy. You'd have to ask the organization about whether they're able and are willing to do that, but.
Any other discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Wonderful. With that, we are on to Financial Management Association with a request of $12,317 and a allocation recommendation of $5,256. Any discussion? Once, or twice, seeing none. Wonderful. With that, we are on to Flute Club with a request of $5,080 and an allocation recommendation of $1,620. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to the Forensics team with a request of $10,000 and a allocation of $10,000. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Game Entertainment and with Game and Media Entertainment Developers, Gamed,
with a request of $1,941 and an allocation of $1,941. Any discussion? Once, and twice, seeing none. With that, we're on the gaming group of Whitewater Board Game Club with a request of $250 and an allocation of $250. Any discussion? President Brett.
The whispers to a minimum, please. I'm picking up voices from the Senate.
Understood. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Gardening Club with a request of $2,269 and an allocation of $1,459. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Geo Envy with a request of $5,882 and an allocation of $5,873. Any discussion? Going once, going twice. I have a question. What was the $9, was it? What's the difference?
Just subtraction.
For GUSD,
Yeah.
$9.
Mm-hmm.
Am I seeing that right?
There's also an adjustment in the revenue, so it's really a difference of more than that.
So often when we're discussing travel throughout this deliberation process, we expect some form of contribution from students. And often when a travel allocation request is submitted with 0 student adjustment, we take away the budget for food throughout the day, since SUFAC would be covering the remainder. So that removed $165 from their original travel request. In return, when we were doing that to organizations who submitted revenue on record, because when the final allocation is calculated at the end, it removes their revenue from that allocation. We gave them back some of their revenue so that they could put that towards travel as they felt was necessary, but so that student dollars specifically were not entirely funding that travel request.
Thank you. Any other discussion for Geo Envy? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on a German club with a request of $949 and an allocation of $749. Any discussion? Going once, going twice. Senator Janetti?
Yeah, I just had a quick question about why there's $200 that blocked from the traveling part of the budget.
Oh, so they used the wrong guideline for food. They used $30 a day instead of $10 a day because it's a 1-day trip. So times that by 10 people, 20 times 10.
Any other discussion for German club? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Wonderful. With that, we're on to Hawks Cinema with a request of $6,975 and an allocation recommendation of $4,975. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we are on to Impact, starting with a request of $4,983 and a allocation of $4,588. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to the International Students Association with a request of $3,877 and an allocation of $3,266. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to InterVarsity Christian Fellowship, IVCF, with a request of $3,550 and an allocation of $3,550. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to ISACA Cybersecurity, ISACA, with a request of $4,540 and an allocation of $4,340. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Jazz Education Network, JEN, with a request of $4,290 and an allocation of $4,290. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Latinos Unidos, LU, with a request of $10,733 and an allocation recommendation of $9,428. Any discussion? Going once, Going twice. Seeing none. With that, we're on to Law Society with a request of $825 and a recommendation of $825. Any discussion? Going once, going twice. Seeing none. With that, we're on to Leaders Igniting Transformation, LIT Lit, with a request of $750 and an allocation recommendation of $440. Any discussion? Going once, going twice. Seeing none. With that, we're on to Model United Nations, Model UN, Model UN, with a request of $29,775 and an allocation of $9,977. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to MTG of Whitewater with a request of $88 and an allocation of $88. With that, we're on to Muse V with a request of $13,362 and an allocation of $8,692. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to the National Association for Music Educators, NAFME Collegiate, with a request of $1,260 and an allocation of $1,260. Next, we are on to Native American Cultural Awareness Association, NACAA, NACA, with a request of $4,519 and an allocation of $2,814. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, see none. With that, we're on to Peace Education and Activism through Creative Engagement, PEACE, Peace, with a request of $4,181 and a recommendation of $2,731. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Pi Sigma Epsilon, PSE, with a request of $40,937 and a allocation of $25,122. Any discussion?
Why does Phi Sigma,
Marty?
why does Phi Sigma Epsilon need $40,000? Furthermore, what does,
The request from Pi Sigma Epsilon largely consisted of travel, which was 2 trips, one which is regional, one which is national. It also consisted of a smaller number for supplies, some for services, but the largest part of their fund request was travel, which was the largest part of what SUFAC recommended, but SUFAC did not recommend the whole $40,937.
Any other discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to the Political Science Student Association, PSSA, with a request of $1,800 and an allocation recommendation of $900. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Give me 1 moment while I fold my sheet. Next, we're on to Professional Writing Core, PWC/Core, with a request of $850 and a recommendation of $640. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Psychology Club, Psy-Chi, with a request of $806 and a recommendation of $405. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Public Relations Student Society of America, PRSSA, with a recommendation, with a request of $4,884 and a recommendation of $4,820. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Real Estate Club with a request of $8,046 and a recommendation of $4,684. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Robotics Club with a recommendation of $2,291 and a recommendation of $2,191. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Saxophone Club with a request of $5,260 and a recommendation of $4,400. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Seven Fashion Modeling Troupe with a request of $5,027.45 and a recommendation of $2,921. Any discussion? Why is there cents attached to that one? Do you know?
That would be, I believe their request did not come through our traditional spreadsheet budget. This was another one where we had to go through the totals they recommended and then do some secondary math. So that would be why
Thank
it's
you.
not as consistent.
I was
The
curious.
spreadsheet I made for applications would round it to the nearest dollar to help our budget office friends, so they're not inputting cents in every org or line, but yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Any other discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Society for Human Resource Management, SHRM SHRM, with a request of $1,955 and an allocation recommendation of $1,955. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Southeast Asian Organization, SAO, with a request of $15,443 and a recommendation of $7,169. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on a Spanish Club with a request of $385 and a recommendation of $385. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Student National Association of Teachers of Singing, SNATS, SNATS, with a request of $6,516 and a recommendation of $1,450. I have a question.
Sure.
Could you just tell me a little bit about what their cuts were? I think there were some cuts for travel, but I'm not 100% sure.
Their cuts for travel were because through the hearing process and eventually as we took the responses we received during the deliberation process and spoke about what our interpretation of them were, we believe that you have to participate in a class in order to go on these trips, on the trip that funding was requested for, which is not something SUFAC can fund.
This is a general question I have. Kind of applies to multiple different organizations that reached out to me. If there are students that intend to go on a trip that are not receiving credit for the activity, without speaking on behalf of the committee, without being in an active contingency request vote, what does that look like? What might that process look like? Are you open to funding?
The trip itself must be advertised as open to all students. We've set that stipulation for a lot of organizations when we weren't entirely clear. This one, like they specifically mentioned a class that you had to take. If they can provide documentation in the future that class or credit bearing is not required, they would be more than welcome to come forward with a contingency request, and SUFAC would hear that request, just like any other travel request.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I asked that for clarification for lots of different student orgs that reached out to me within the last week. Senator Marty.
Do you consider student organizations that are competitive or have to participate in competitions, that they win any competitions, when they can, and they ask for more money, would you consider their request to up the SUFAC funding because they win competitions or they win a tournament?
Yeah, so that would be a contingency fund request, as that's unanticipated.
Hold on, I don't think you're catching.
I'm not? Okay.
Sorry. Are you asking if an organization were to win, if we would consider upping their request?
Yeah, so that's a contingency fund request, because it's typically unanticipated, because you could win, you could lose, right?
Okay.
It means like if they won this year, would you give them more money next year?
Oh.
No.
Yeah.
You can't take that into account.
Can't take that into account. So I would again urge them to go to contingency.
Any other discussion? Snacks. Once, twice, seeing none. With that, we are on to Student Veteran Alliance with a request of $2,000 and a recommendation of $250. Any discussion? Once, twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Students Allied for a Greener Earth, SAGE SAGE, with a request of $3,243 and a recommendation of $1,703. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Students Helping in Education, SHINE, SHINE, with a request of $404 and a recommendation of $404. With that, we're on to Super Smash Bros. Club with a request of $2,170 and a recommendation of $1,610. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Terrestrial and Aquatic Ecology Club with a request of $937 and a recommendation of $483. Any discussion? Going once, Going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Tifu Cultural Ensemble with a request of $5,000 and a recommendation of $490. Any discussion? Going once, going twice? Senator Reyes?
Yeah, I was wondering why was the budget cut down 5% to 490?
Sure. So TIFU was the organization. This question, a very similar question, was asked last week. TIFU signed up for a hearing and did not arrive for a hearing, and submitted a budget that had very little detail whatsoever. So SUFAC, this was the entire budget request for that amount, which is not enough information for us to allocate a large amount like that. There were fellowships and student wages listed, which only certain organizations are eligible through SUFAC guidelines. And so what we did is we went through their request and determined what was in line with some pretty standard things. So whether that was $200 for printing, which we were pretty standardly allocating organizations, money for meeting food that was within our guidelines, things that they had indicated they wanted to do very briefly in their budget, but anything that we didn't have information for, we simply could not fund.
Any other discussion? Going once, going twice? Seeing none. With that, we're on to Trumpet Club with a request of $6,529 and a recommended allocation of $4,639. Any discussion? Going once, going twice? Seeing none. With that, we're on to Turning Point USA, TPUSA, with a request of $840 and an allocation of, and a recommendation of $650. Any discussion? Going once, going twice? Seeing none. With that, we're on to What the Craft. The request of $450 and a recommendation of $450. Next, we're on to the Whitewater Student Government, WSG, with a request of $39,056 and a recommendation of $3,656. Any discussion?
36,056.
Did I say?
3,600.
Oh, $36,056. President Bradley.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to entertain a motion to add $3,000 to wages. And what's what I'm looking for? To wages, to add a $500 pay increase to all e-board members, that's directors and clerks, rather than bonuses, as it's no longer a one-time thing. We'll build it into their salaries.
Point of order?
Looking for.
The motion was already made and voted on
It was not.
to add 3,000.
It's close, but it's not exact, because it's asking for a dollar amount and not for bonuses, but to change the dollar.
It's to change the dollar amount is the motion.
Right.
And that mo-
The number is the material, it's the use for the number, typically that is the precedent that's been.
I'm going to
set.
allow it to be entertained either way if the senator would like to entertain. Senator Lang. Just looking for a second. Seconded by Senator Purnell. With that, we're on to discussion on the motion. Senator Lang, you can open it up if you'd like. President Bradley, you can open it up if you'd like.
All right, I'll say what I've heard from SUFAC was because the request for bonuses was a one-time request, following precedent that they set, it should not be approved. So we're moving it in line with what SUFAC has done for other organizations, and by adding it to their salaries, I believe that it should be approved.
Senator Martin?
So if we vote for the salaries and we actually make it into the e-board budget, the expectation, we should also understand that, yeah, they are doing over the amount of work for the budget. For the next e-board members coming on, we have to hold up to that extra $500 budgetary standard for the next generation. If we vote for that, or if that motion continues to work.
I wasn't phrasing a question, so thank you very much.
Well, yeah, sorry, that's.
Senator Purnell? Yeah, we're in discussion. Senator Purnell?
I believe that while this isn't ideal, the executive board is due for an increase. They put in a lot of hard work. And I think that this addition of 500 to each member would be this next best scenario.
Sufac from the front.
I believe you already looked at a motion to increase or to add $3,000 to the student wages line item. And it's already been voted on. Functionally, this changes nothing, as once an line item is allocated, it is in the student organization's purview of how it's spent. So if that's spent on bonuses, that's spent to all going to one person, that's split across 5, is in their purview, as long as it's within guidelines.
I just have a question, so, because I wasn't at the deliberation, was the decision made because the ambiguity of the bonus, or was the decision made because of the $3,000 amount?
The ambiguity, the bonus.
Yeah.
Okay, just so I have it straight for my notes, thank you.
Any other discussion? President Bradley?
Point of clarification, can Senator Lang, who made the motion, adjust the motion to be a request of $3,001? So it's gonna cause an issue.
That's completely up to Senator Lang. There's a motion on the floor. You're welcome to make a friendly amendment to your own motion at the request of President Bradley, I guess.
Could it be repeated?
Sure, it is in your purview to change your motion of $3,000 to $3,001. Not recommending it, just saying.
Senator Lang does not have his placard up, and I have discussion, so I'm going to go. I think this motion is subsequently different for anyone who might have a question on the floor about whether or not we're gonna carry this motion forward and vote on it. If the motion carries, then $3,000 will be added to the line item. It does functionally change $3,000. Any other discussion? Senator Gilly?
So this money, then are we saying it will be spread out equally amongst the e-board, correct?
Senator Lang, do you want to clarify or yield to President Bradley?
Yes. Okay. It's an extra $500 as a pay raise to every member of the e-board.
Sufac in front.
Are you asking SUFAC or the line item? What the line item would be used for, to the organization president, or for the allocation?
Dan answered my question.
Senator Lieber?
It's a raise of $3,000. Okay, it's $3,000, correct?
If the senator who made the motion would allow me to speak on their behalf, it seems to me like it is a motion for $3,000 broken down as $500 equally for each executive board member as a pay raise.
Just a note for clarification, we don't break it down in the recommendation or the approval. It's not broken down how it's split. It's just a total, other than the line items.
Senator Lieber, do you have a follow-up?
Unless you're looking to add a stipulation.
Senator Marty?
If we, from the $3,000 pay raise, could we do, could the fellow senators do more work to help all of you guys out in committees? So meaning.
I'm not sure how the question's relevant to the motion on the floor.
Okay, then I'll.
Senator Lang?
Just to clarify some of the language, if I understand this correctly, this is now no longer a bonus and is a permanent pay increase to every member of the e-board. So it's not a bonus that is to be decided by the president and vice president. It's a flat $500 bonus as a pay raise. So a permanent pay raise that could not be changed until the next SUFAC deliberations.
Any other discussion? Senator Reyes?
So is this for fiscal year 2026 to 2027?
No.
Or is this?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's fiscal 27, which.
Yeah.
So
the
like-
26, 27.
So like what if a director's position gets removed? So like what if there's like right now like there's 6?
Uh-huh.
Like my question is like what if it goes from 6 to 5 or like 1 gets removed?
That's a good question. the way SUFAC allocations work is it will be under the, what is it? What's the exact line item?
It's under the student wages line item.
It'll be under the student wages line item, so it'll just, the money will persist there.
Right, but like, how would that money like be allocated?
However, the
Position that's
president wants it to
No,
be.
no, if it's not spent, pardon me, man.
Yeah.
If it's not spent on student wages, then it needs to have a line item transfer approved by SUFAC to spend it somewhere else, like in services or in travel. There would have to be a request made.
Senator Purnell?
I think it's important to note as well that the directors would not receive a pay increase without this reallocation. The directors from last year would be receiving the same amount. The only increase in pay would go to the clerk. This is something that should be encouraged because it's our directors have done more and more work throughout years, and they should be rewarded for that work.
Senator Keeling?
I'd like to urge a yes vote for this. As opposed to the earlier motion, I feel like it has more clarification and where the money is actually being spent, which was the original issue with SUPAC, is that they didn't have a clear explanation. So, yeah.
I have a question for Vice President Bamer, President Bradley. How many hours are the e-board required to work per week? Yeah, I'm asking.
Their contract state that they would work 10 hours in the office.
I'm granting myself a follow-up. How many hours do you think they work a week?
More than 10. If you wanna, if you want a more specific number, it's at least 15 hours are spent a week per director on average. Most of our directors are approaching that 20-hour mark, with I think 2 consistently hitting above that 20 mark per week. And just kind of to that point, it's been years since there's been an increase to this, and the expectation of directors has increased. What they're required to do, or meetings they're required to go to, how much time they spend, with no bonus. So it is
Senator Marty?
Even though if we vote yes for the e-board, could e-board, when they go to their meetings, allow for more fellow senator participation upon, allow for more senator participation? I'm kind of hesitant to vote for this because of that reason. Because I want to do more work in committees, do more work as a senator, and do more representation for the constituents that I am here in the seat to represent. I understand that they're working 15 hours. Some of that hours could be gone to all of us sitting right here who have a job to work and to serve as a senator.
Senator Lieber?
I'm just gonna, can I direct my question to the president?
You absolutely can.
President Beckles, do you think if your directors did delegate more work to the senator, do you think it would take a little bit off their chest?
I suppose it would, but a lot of work can't be delegated. So they build relationships with folks and administrators, and they're in meetings. It's not realistic, and nor are we always invited to have multiple representatives in meetings. I can tell you, Abby, through her role as the Director of Academic Affairs, and Olivia as the Associate, meet with the provost regularly. We can't just add senators into those meetings. So while in theory, yes, that's not really an option we have, but appreciate the question.
Senator Carter?
Point of clarification, Speaker, this is directed towards President. Mr. President, isn't it true that's why directors host committee meetings and that, so that way they can give work to senators and everything like that?
Yeah, that is true.
Any other discussion? Senator Lieber?
To build off that, so far in my term, I have yet to be delegated work to. So I was just gonna throw that.
Senator Marty?
piggybacking off of Sean, I do agree that we can also, I have been building up relationships every day when I'm talking to fellow students around Whitewater. And every time I say I'm on student government, they have concerns individually about what they want to do. If student government wants to increase, we have to make up a lobbying organization or some other organization that can talk to the whole state of Wisconsin to ask for more money, because this is like a broader question than just SUFAC. It's about how do we get more money to the University of Wisconsin idea, to help out the Wisconsin idea.
I would like to say to the whole body, let's try to keep all of the relevant discussion on this motion.
Questions about them?
Yeah. Senator Lang,
You.
any other discussion? SUFAC from the front.
Just as a clarification for you all, SUFAC has guidelines of how we spend money or how organizations are allowed to spend money. So when you're looking at 162 for travel here for Whitewater Student Government, that's not broken down by how they're allowed to spend it or for this specific purpose. It's Whitewater Student Government. It's 162 to travel. It's the same with this, right? So if this number changes, it is entirely within the organization's purview to distribute it how they like, right? So if, regardless of what the budget says, right, it is in the organization's purview if all $31,100 of this went to one person, that's allowable, right? If that some of that went to bonuses, some of that went to salaries or stipends, then it's, as long as it's within guidelines, allowable.
Advisor Bilgan.
I feel ethically compelled because I was at the meeting, is that I don't disagree with the SUFAC chair, except that WSG took a specifically broke down detailed budget that has more detail than SUFAC requires to help them understand, I think, what they were doing. So I just want to share that with the group. So I don't disagree, but there was additional information that all of you saw at a Senate meeting because it was shared by your president. So just so we're being clear about what was shared.
Any other discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Wonderful. With that, SUFAC from the front.
I just want to add one thing that I think is relevant. The SUFAC goes through a review process of every organization once every 5 years, and we review budgets regularly, looking to see if what they submitted is what they spent. So student groups are held accountable to what they plan and what they submit within guidelines, within policy, and within what the expectations are. That doesn't mean that if somebody says they want a trip to New York and they go to Maine, that's a problem, right? It's still travel, it's still meeting the same purpose, which ultimately is where the conversation happens with that educational process of review.
Any other discussion, Senator Marty?
I was wondering about this, if in the Pacific reallocation for the funds, did it say any point about the fellow senators about from us in that budget request?
Senators are not paid out of this budget.
I mean, any work that we could be doing for the.
It's not in the purview of SUFAC to review.
President Bradley.
For folks curious or asking, I'd love to have a conversation about what does further Senate involvement with the E-board look like. We can definitely have that conversation. If you have concerns, make sure you email the Vice President and I, because if we don't know that there are concerns, we can't address them. And finally,
please deep discussion relevant to the motion.
Finally, so if the 3,000 were to be approved for a pay increase for all E-board members, we will adjust the budget presented to you. The budget will reflect that, and it will be sent out to the Senate so that directors will show that they're making $5,000 for a year, and the clerk is making $5,500 a year. We will build our internal budget that way and send it to you so that you as a Senate can ensure that we, the student organization, are being held accountable.
Any other discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none, wonderful. With that, we're gonna move into a roll call vote. A vote of aye will be a vote in favor of the motion carrying, a vote of nay will be a vote against.
What is the motion for a reminder?
The motion is to increase the recommended allocation from 3656 to 3956. Vote of aye will be a vote in favor of that motion carrying, a vote of nay will be a vote against. Madam Clerk, when you're ready, would you please call the roll?
Senator Marty,
Nay.
Senator Patricus,
Pass.
Senator Purnell,
Abstain.
Senator Reber, Senator Reyes,
Hey,
Senator Vanderhyde,
Pass.
Senator Wheaton,
Same.
Senator Carter,
Abstain.
Senator Janetti,
Aye.
Senator Geeling,
Aye.
Senator Lang,
Aye.
Senator Lieber,
Nay.
Senator Majors,
Pass.
Senator Patricus,
I'm saying.
Senator Vanderhyde,
Aye.
Senator Majors,
Nay.
Speaker Wilson,
Abstain. A vote of 4 to 6 abstentions, the motion fails. With that, we are, I have no idea where we are. Give me 1 second. A little bit of water, if you don't mind. It's not a water. With that, we're on to Z Spirit Program, with a request of 8,250 and a recommendation of 8,250. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to Z Spirit Program Replacement Fund with a request of 2,400 and a recommendation of 2,400. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. All righty, with that, we're on to the double Zs. You can feel free to make amendments during the discussion, but if you take a look, all of these are recommended funding at what they were requested. So I'm going to go down and say,
Except with the exception of Winter Guard.
Winter Guard will have its own line item that I will read out separate of all the other ones. But all the other ones, I'm going to read out just the name and not the request and the recommendation, because the request and the recommendation are the same. They're right there. Badminton. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Baseball. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Basketball men. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Basketball women. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Billiards. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Bowling men. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Boxing. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Club sports. General. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Cycling. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Disc golf. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Esports. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Fencing. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Fishing. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Fitwell. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Golf. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Karate. Warhawk martial arts. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Lacrosse men. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Lacrosse women. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Officials Association. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Paintball. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Pickleball. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Rugby. Men. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Rugby. Women. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Running. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Soccer men. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Soccer. Women. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Softball. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Tennis. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Ultimate Frisbee. Men. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Volleyball. Men. Once, going twice, seeing none. Volleyball. Women. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Warhawk Barbell Club. Going once, going twice, seeing none.
Water polo, going once, going twice, seeing none. Whitewater cornhole. Going once, going twice, seeing none. Great job, folks. And here we have Winter Guard with a recommendation, with a request of $800 and a recommendation of $0. Any discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Wonderful. With that, we're on to our last line item, so I'll hand it off to the SUFAC chair / vice chair, as I believe our totals are different than what I have here on the bottom of my sheet.
Just
Understand deeply about like the amount of money that we eat, so we don't go.
Is he wearing a leaf vest?
Nope, they handed it off to us.
This is parliamentarian. It's your meeting.
Yeah, it's your purview to wait. If you'd like him to wait, you can tell him to wait, or he can go. It's all up to you. Feel the power.
It's your meeting. It's parliamentarian. What are we up on?
Your direction. He said go ahead if you'd like. Did you not? I think you just said that. You did. This is crap.
Parliamentarian. It's your meeting.
It's his purview. Jesus. Let him be.
I think.
I can't have the left part of it. What one of them?
The, that would be.
Oh, can you so.
Oh no, I got rid of the things now.
You're there. What does that do to? So reading Mr. Speaker.
I think I give I give the floor to you?
Oh.
Lofton told him to wait?
No, so go ahead if you wanted.
Oh, go ahead if you, whenever.
Sure.
The number on my sheet is different, so I believe you have unannounced.
You.
The floor is yours.
All right. So we approved now it is. I get what I adopted it. It's 297 out of 13. We do have an adjustment that we received last week Tuesday. Mr. President, if you could click summary tab on the bottom. Summary, not the revised, the summary. So the FTE we used is 8,204. FTE is full-time equivalent. It's essentially how many students are paying seg fees, and it's a whole lot more complicated than that. And I don't know if one of our advisors wants to step in and is able to share more. No? Okay. Yeah, so that's essentially how many students are paying seg fees. And it's a lot more complicated than that. And I'd give you more information if I did, but even I am confused by it. But essentially, it's an estimate, right? So that was the number we were given. It's been the same for a couple of years. Mr. President, if you're willing to hit a summary revised FTE. The update we got last week is that the FTE is going up to 8,450, which is a good thing. That means there's more students paying segregated fees. So the number doesn't change, right? The 397,513, that doesn't change. It's just split across more students. So the contribution from contingency to maintain the 5% is only 14,132. Whereas if you go back to summary, it would be 24,793. So.
Do we?
I think it would be best, because then there's a summary of that motion, so. Someone needs to make a motion or entertain a motion to approve it. $397,513.
Okay. All right, so if you look up to the screen now, you see that $397,013 line item.
One to your right.
Yep, right, that's what I said. I would like to make a motion to approve. I move to approve that number.
$397,513.
$397,513. I move to approve that number. Looking for a second. Seconded by Danny Lang. With that, we're on to discussion. We made it. We're right there. Any other discussion? Once or twice, seeing none. With that, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Senator Patricus?
Pass.
Senator Purnell?
Aye.
Senator Reber?
Aye.
Senator Reyes? Senator Vanderhyde?
Aye.
Senator Wheaton? Aye. Senator Carter?
Aye.
Senator Janetti?
Aye.
Senator Gielich?
Aye.
Senator Lang?
Aye.
Senator Lieber? Senator Majors? Aye. Senator Marty?
Aye.
Senator Patricus?
Abstain.
Speaker Wilson?
Very proud aye. And with that, in a vote of 13 to 1. 13 to 0 to 1. The WSG total allocation at $397,513 has been approved.
Can we go back to the, so we have another decision.
Yeah.
So there's another decision to make is what to contribute from our contingency fund. Could be 0, could be, if you want to. Oh, could you change the 14 to a 0?
Point of inquiry, where is the contingency fund on our biggest piece of paper?
It's not there.
It's not on our big piece of paper. Oh. It's gonna be right up on the screen there.
Is it all?
Feel very short.
97, can you go over to where the percent? So we get that 397. So. Do you want it? You can't edit it anyway.
I think there were not.
All right. So now, so what you should be looking at is this bottom box right here. This top line is the number, the amount of our contingency fund we would need to get to the percent increase. The bottom number is what percent of our contingency fund that number is.
Nick, can you,
Is-
Doug, can you scroll up, please? So right now, if you approve all of the money you just approved to come out of fee, right? So to be divided among those students, it would be an 8.87% increase, moving from the current to $47.04. So a $3.83 increase per student for the year for next year. But what we're proposing is that you also consider that we have a contingency fund that is healthy. And Doug, if you want to scroll down, Nick, you can just tag in whenever you want.
Yeah, so the top line is the amount of that contingency fund of which you would get to each percent increase, right? So if you wanted a 5% increase in the allocable, what that looks like is a $14,132 contribution from our contingency fund. Which would be that number, the 14 is 5.26% of our contingency fund.
All right.
Oh, I got you. So we're looking for a recommend, go ahead.
I was gonna move to open up discussion. And we can chat about it. So I move to open up discussion. Looking for a second. Seconded by Senator Majors. With that, we're moving to a 5-minute discussion. Senator Lang.
I just want to make sure I have this correct. The original maximum increase that SUVAC was recommending from the contingency fund was 5%, correct?
SUFAC is recommending a maximum percent increase of 5%.
Yep.
Should WSG vote to put it up to the 12%, how does that get allocated? Like, how does that get divided out? That 32,000?
Do you mean divided up amongst students?
Yes, like, how does that process work?
Every student? Is that what you're asking? How much?
Is that the funds that will go to the people who apply for contingency funding?
No.
I might be misunderstanding.
Okay, might I ask a question, Senator, like, okay, so you're asking if the increase went up to 12% from 8% now, that difference in money, how would it be allocated to the groups? Or how would it impact the individual student who would be paying the fee? Which are you? Okay, so if you're saying, no, we want to allocate a 12% increase, how would it happen? It could happen in one of two ways. One, system with like, one probably system with like, which would be flat, divide the number of orgs into that number, and that's what each org gets, right? They probably would want you to be more judicious than that and go back and review each of the requests and allocate that money. That's not the question though, that's at hand. That's an option that you have, but what the Senate has already approved is the maximum number, which is $397,513. So now the question is not on the giving side, it's from the collecting side, which is how much will each student contribute to that $397,513? Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, great.
Senator Weenan.
Are we able to be like reminded of what was approved for last year, just as maybe Garland and Gibson, or no? Does this have to be on the spot?
You could. I would suggest you do not make any decisions based off that. Senator Majors.
So the recommendation is this 5% increase, meaning that the 14,132 is taking out contingency fund, excuse me. From the view of SUFAC, is this choice going to be sustainable for that contingency fund that we currently have?
I answer this.
SUFAC from the front.
This was a heavily deliberated question in the SUFAC room, to the point that we felt that it was only appropriate to make a recommendation of a maximum of a 5% increase, because there was a lot of debate about whether we should allocate funding from contingency to go lower than a 5% increase. There was really no entire consensus made in the organization, which is why we all felt a maximum of 5% was appropriate, and in line with requests from the chancellor and just discussions about trying to keep fees affordable for students. But beyond that 5% maximum, there was really not a consensus made among the SUFAC group.
I have a question. I'm not. If there was a vote made, was there a vote cast on any other number apart from 5%? Or was there no votes at all? Was it just discussion?
We had discussions and people threw out numbers, right? People some threw out, or people throwing out between 3 to 5, and I don't know if anyone went lower than that or higher than that, but the only vote was to recommend a maximum of 5%.
Thank you. Yeah, from the front, Sufak.
I'm so not used to raising my hand. I'm so sorry. I want to make sure everyone understands what they're seeing up on the screen because it was suggested to me that there might be a little confusion with the different percentages that you're seeing up there. So let's just make sure everybody knows what we're looking at. The percent increase that's highlighted right now, that's row H. That's what the fee increase would be for a student, right? So a 5% increase would mean that the fee is 2 columns down, $45.37 per student. That would total, when you multiply the 8450, that's the number of students times the 4537, that gives us 383, 381. And then the difference to cover what you just approved is that 18,000. The bottom row of percentages, that's how much of the contingency fund we're using. That is not how much we're increasing the fee. That number just gives you a sense of how much we're actually taking out of the contingency fund. Nick, is that what's available after the floor is removed, or is that the percentage of the entirety? So the contingency fund, all unspent money each year, including this coming June, any groups that don't spend their money, it will be swept into the contingency fund. So the money will increase again, likely at the end of the year. We have seen in the last 5 years anything from $160,000 to $360,000 swept and put into contingency. That's simply based on the last several years' data that we looked at.
Well, so the amount is from our contingency, the percent is of the spendable. So minus the floor, not considering anything.
And what is the floor?
Floor is 119,000.
So we have the total amount of allocation for this year. 12% of that is the floor. So that's our safety net, for probably an oversimplified definition.
Do we set that for the system?
Well, 12 to 15% is what's recommended by the budget office for all budgets. To my knowledge, that's still accurate. And so we base ours based on what's standard process.
Senator Janetti?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask for some clarification on a point that you made previously. So regarding the 300,000 number, would that be collectively or in a singular year alone?
The 397,000.
No, I'm saying because you were talking about money that would go back into the contingency fund. And I was just asking if that was collectively over the years that you saw.
No.
Or just in the point you're
So the balance that's up there is what currently sits in there. If we were to scroll up a little bit, it'll show you what's currently sitting in there. We have seen significant number, primarily right after COVID, because people weren't able to travel. So like 60% of our budgets weren't spendable at that time. This last year, I think it was about $150,000 that came from unspent funds back into contingency. It could be zero, right? I'm not saying that it's a guarantee, but I am saying that students don't always spend all their money. And so we want to look at those numbers because we can count on those numbers, but also know that there's likely to be more funding coming back.
Senator Marty?
Is part of the contingency fund from travel due to inflation from this costs going up and rising?
I'm sure some of it, and then, right, costs go up, and then organizations have the same allocation, and that doesn't increase with inflation. So then they decide not to travel, but also some of it is likely due in part to changes in leadership, right? So one president and treasurer requests and gets recommended for a budget, and then a new president, new treasurer are elected, who have different ideas of what to do with the budget. So there's a lot of different reasons as to why it went unspent. If you want specifics, you'd have to talk to specific organizations or look at specific cases, as each one's going to be different.
Technically, our discussion period ended 3 minutes ago, so I'm going to move to extend discussion by another 5 minutes. Seconded by Danny Lang. Discussion continues. I have a question. in your expertise, any of y'all, what is I'm asking this purely out of ignorance and out of like a very limited knowledge as speaker in the SUFAC process. I have told more people in the last 7 days to think about a contingency fund request than I think I've ever told people to think about a contingency fund request. Is that something that y'all consider? Is that something I'm only interpreting as a change, or is that tangible? Is that like, are y'all feeling that too? I know I'm asking a feel question, but maybe in order of how long y'all have been around, or Kim, if you wanna.
I think part of this is that every year SUVAC is made up of different students, similar to the Senate, right? One governing body is not going to interpret the guidelines or make decisions in the same way that the governing body the year prior did. I think that was a big part of the change. We discussed that in SUFAC this afternoon. This year's SUFAC has really been pretty stringent on following policy as it comes to one-time purchases and things like that, in ways that may differ from how people are used to SUFAC operating, which is entirely up to the representatives on SUFAC. But I think that's the biggest difference, is just interpretation of policy has differed this year than previous years.
But is the difference here?
Yeah.
This is strictly my opinion as having advised SUFAC for 7 years and been a part of it for longer. I think we have a problem with people actually investing time in reading the application. The application very clearly in the first 3 sentences says what one-time fees are, what one-time purchases are, and that they absolutely should come to contingency this semester to ask for those things. And so I think some of it is completely on education. They got to read the directions because they did a really good job of outlining what they were asking for, but a lot of the stuff they were asking for were one-time purchases. So I'm not demeaning or undermining the work, because I understand and empathize with how much work goes in for the groups, but I do think that there is a missing piece of dotting I's and crossing T's as they're applying to make sure that they're asking for things correctly. We have, as a committee, chosen, I say we because I've sit there with them. They have, as a committee, some years said, we'll just approve this as contingency today, and they don't have to go through a separate process. This committee did not feel that was an appropriate method based upon the information that was provided by the groups, and that's a pretty common standard process. So these groups all have this ability. It's a 4-question form, and I hope they all come and ask for those banners and tablecloths and wagons and those supplies, because that's what's going to help them be successful day to day on our campus and promote themselves the way they're seeking. I don't know if that's exactly what you were hoping for.
No, I mean, for the body, the reason I asked is because if, and we can only judge the SUFAC we have right now, and I think we're going to alluded to that well, which is different SUFACs uphold the policy in a different way. I think folks right now, and by folks I mean student organizations, are being urged to go to the contingency fund more than they have in past. Am I off base in saying that?
I don't know if it's they're being urged to go more. In my personal experience, I know I have talked to a lot of groups to urge them to do it, but that's because I'm sending emails about this, which I did not do previously. But from our discussions, I don't know if it is more.
Okay. But yeah, for the body, I was looking to get context for how much of that contingency fund do we want to take? Do we want to take 5.26% of it? Do we want to take more? Do we want to take less? That's why I asked those questions.
If you're asking system, they will likely say you should only have the floor.
Can I ask another question? And I'll extend it to any of the adult folks we have in the room as well. Because it's pretty relevant to them as well, and maybe they had more conversations with the chancellor. But it is my understanding, and I have a follow-up coming right after this. It's my understanding that the chancellor is the one giving you that 5% recommendation number, right there. The chancellor's asked you to stay around 5%?
President Bradley, Andy Holmbeck, myself, as well as a lot of staff and administrators involved in the process had a meeting July 21st, where he had stated his goal was no more than a 5% increase. So we've tried to stick to that.
The exception of rock.
With the exception of rock, but we've tried to stick to that in our eligible process here, and that's why we are asking for the contribution from contingency. But also, just to do our part to keep with the rising cost of higher education, of not raising fees for everyone.
Driving affordability.
We'd like to drive affordability.
Can I get that just a little bit?
Please.
Jump in anytime. I think that there are a couple of pieces that I think are really valuable to share. One is that if we say 0% increase, 0% increase, it's totally doable. And if that's what you vote to do, that's what we will do, right? We will take the larger amount out of contingency and we will fund it. But if the contingency doesn't stay healthy, then we're increasing the gap between what they're requesting and what the current fee is to the point where we will not be able to we won't be able to fill the gap.
Can you describe what you mean by fill the gap?
Sure. So if the fee is, I'm going to simplify numbers, so please don't think these are the answers. If the fee this year is $40, and in order to pay for everything, the fee would have to go up to $50. That's a $10 difference. That's a 25% increase. I'm so glad that's not where we're at. So next year they come in and they ask for $650,000 instead of $560,000. We are still down at the $40, but now we have more requests and possibly more good ones. So now we have a larger difference between what they're asking for and where our fee currently is, and we will not be able to increase by more than that 3 or 4 or 5% or whatever the chancellor or leadership says. So it increases, it basically pushes a problem down the road. So I would encourage you to think about that in your decision making.
Back from the front.
I just wanted to raise a point of clarification from a question President Bradley just asked me. When we're looking for a motion here, we're looking for a dollar amount from the contingency request at some point. Like from the contingency fund, we're looking for the dollar amount.
Not the percent.
That was
Under the impression-
my understanding from our short little conversation right here. But you would like a dollar amount, Mr. Chair?
We need a dollar amount, the amount of contingency we'd like to get, and then there's other numbers there for your context.
So you've already approved that, so you need to decide how much from it you'd like to come out of contingency.
I can say, and I have a number, I have a motion we can make, but I just want to hear from more folks. I really do. I think it's really, really important. But to give some guidance, I guess, I think we should be somewhere between 21.5 and 14.1. Senator Wheaton.
Personally, I trust in the process that SUFAC took to finding the number and recommendation that they're bringing us today. And that's what I would like to stick to, because this is a lot for us to intake in one meeting, and even comprehend through this short demonstration of how they got to that number. They deliberated and asked people for weeks, and I really trust that and value that. They're always seeing these numbers. They do believe that's what's best for this. So I personally am going for the 5%.
I have not made up my mind yet, but to push back against that a little, I think it is clear. I think through the WSG priorities, through the survey that went out, I think through my personal interactions with my constituents, and I think through just a general media literacy, affordability seems like not only a concern of people who are 18 to 26 years old, like a lot of the folks who are our constituents, but also folks like all over the place. no offense to those folks all over the place. I care about the folks who are my constituents a lot more. Affordability seems like a huge thing for them. And it's not to say that, you know, a dollar, I think in this instance, feels like a really minuscule amount. But I think in understanding it in its full context, it could be it could be really impactful, particularly in the long term. I think it says something about what our body is looking to do for students if we get closer to a 3 or 4%. And I'm just looking to hear what the body thinks about being closer to that 3 or that 4%. Senator Marty.
I think I will vote yes for taking money out of the contingency fund. But this reason why, I'm just wondering, like, if we take for the contingency fund, can we make sure that it will grow for next year? So that we can like make a good budget balance or something like that?
My best understanding is that we can't make sure it grows, but the trends suggest that it grows year over year. We just want to be as fiscally responsible as possible when we make the decision. Senator Healy?
I feel comfortable with the percent increase per student, the fee per student, to be closer to 4 or 5%. While you said $1 or $2 like can make a huge difference, I think when students are talking about affordability, they're not necessarily talking about this additional fee that allows them to be in all these different clubs that they have. I think they're more talking about the dining situation that we have, the housing situation, prices of classes, etc.
This fee gets rolled up into a much larger fee, right? So it is relatively small. However, we don't know what's coming in from those other fees. And when they all add up together, they still add up to what somebody has to pay, right? So it is absolutely a balancing act, where the number seems small, but it's one of many fees that students pay. And so if we do our part, hopefully everybody else does too, which maintains that lower fee. Having said that, you're looking at 43 cents difference per percent, right? So it is a comparatively tiny to other fees.
Senator Lang.
The percent, or I guess dollar amount increase for the contingency fund, will that be looked at again next year when we're in this meeting next year? Like, does that change from year to year? Or is it looked at year to year?
Did you say is the dollar amount in the contingency fund gonna change?
No, like the amount that is being taken from the contingency fund, is that looked at year to year?
Yes-ish. It's my understanding that this is the first time it's happening.
Yes. It's been, I think, 3 years since we've used contingency fund to offset the fee.
Follow up?
Should WSG find that next year the student body does not represent the same needs that it does this year, are we able to change that step?
You mean during the next year's SUFAC process?
Yes.
Each year. For the following year?
Yes, because in that case, then I would be in favor of taking the closer to 3%. Yes.
That is not. That is not a motion. on the
I'm
floor.
aware.
Senator, Director Appointee Rosequist, but current Associate Director.
I would say I would highly encourage the Senate to stay around the 6.62 mark. Simply because within the WSG's priorities, I believe the exact quote was driving persistence through affordability and engagement. Therefore, engagement is also a key part of keeping students' experiences at Whitewater well, I guess. So I would highly encourage the Senate to stay around this mark.
I don't know how feasible this is. If it's not, I totally understand. Can I know what like 4.5 is?
Ask Nicole, she'll hold up like.
I looked and we made eye
It's
contact.
gonna be halfway between the two.
Thank you.
Literally.
Kind of inquiry, I'm wondering about this. Could the student government, could the SUFAC committee explain, like, this is just a broader question. How could we figure out a way to get more state funding into?
If we could just keep if we could keep all discussion relevant to the current discussion period, which is about the
What state of Wisconsin is?
dollar amount of contingency funding.
The specific portion of a student's fees here is strictly from students to students. The state does not put any money in or take any money out of it. It's strictly a fee base. And it's one of many ways that we get money as a campus. The state ways just aren't part of this conversation.
Senator Wheat.
Am I able to back up a little bit to our previous point we were discussing?
You absolutely are.
Okay,
As long as it's
to this
relevant
point,
to the-
Speaker Wilson, what do you see the constituents you mentioned, that you were targeting that 3 to 4% for and voicing that concern for them? What would that gain, that 3 to 4%? I'm sorry, I cannot read my own. I'm saying you were talking about that 3 to 4% for certain constituents in mind. What would the impact to decreasing it look like for them and presuming it happened? Give ideas or thoughts to what it would look like.
I think that's a great question. And I would say I have three answers. And through this discussion, I'm getting more firm in my belief that we are probably in a good place. Being somewhere between 3 and 5, but closer to 4. And the reason I think that, again, is for 3 points. One of them is the message that we as a body send to other departments, as well as the chancellor. So in saying that we have a large body of constituents that cares a lot about our affordability, how much we are charging students, and we have a direct impact on that by saying that we love that the chancellor put it at 5. We love it so much that we're willing to go lower than that. And we believe in the contingency fund, right? I think that's one of the reasons. I think another reason, like you asked particularly about impact. Again, it's a relatively small amount. We're talking about cents per student. But I think what it means is probably more than the impact. And I think we're in a healthy place. And I think what it means is that our body cares a lot about how student dollars are used. And we are willing and we want to listen to our constituents when they say we want to pay less for things. And we don't have the ability to say, well, yeah, we're talking about $3 at the end of the day. If we're between 5 and 0, we're talking about $3. That's the scope of what we have right now. But when you talk about impact, we just have to look at that impact as $3 would be 100% and $0 would be 0%. So we have the ability to make a large impact with what we can do, if that makes sense. So by only looking at our scope, we have the ability to make a percent of a difference, which is large, I think.
I have a follow-up.
Please.
Now, do you think by lowering the recommended amount by SUFAC, do you think that this could possibly negatively impact the outside views of the relationship that WSG has with SUFAC?
I do.
Yeah. SUFAC's, my microphone died, sorry. SUFAC's recommendation was a maximum of 5%. So if you go over that, I don't know how people might take that. But as long as you are 5% or lower, you are still within the recommendation that SUFAC has made to this body.
Follow-up?
I just want to say thank you for that clarification. I think that maximum got lost with a lot of the conversation.
Yep. can I restate a point I made earlier just to give
Yeah.
context from the SUFAC perspective? There was a lot of deliberation, particularly within the 3 to 5% range. I will say I did request a long time ago when we were debating this to see 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, and 5 originally, which is where this table ended up coming from. And we did not meet a consensus whatsoever within the group. It felt very much like this conversation you all are all having on a smaller scale, which is why the recommendation was a maximum of 5%, because we all agreed on that point. But where within that range of 5 to 0 was not able to reach a consensus.
So any motion that gets made, we're gonna have to have discussion on it. We're not gonna move right into a vote. And because of that, do we have 4.5?
It'd be $15,958.
I move to, how am I phrasing this? Take the amount out of the contingency fund?
Contribute.
Subsidize the,
Contribute.
subsidize the
Contribute.
fee allocation by X amount from the
I move to subsidize the fee amount by $15,958,
$958.
which is equal to 4.5% from the contingency fund. Looking for a second. Senator Lynn.
That's not the percentage, it's not, that's the percent fee increase.
Yeah.
Oh, the percent fee increase. Thank you very much. Sorry. It's somewhere between 6 and 5 from.
It's still 4. Yeah, we don't need the percent.
Okay, anyway.
Just the number from 15.
Sounds good. Which is, one more time, just so we have it, $15,958. Motion on the floor, seconded by Danny Lang. We're in discussion. And I want to start discussion by saying, again, I think we're talking about cents, we're talking about dollars. It doesn't feel like a lot, but I think percentages matter, and treating student dollars with reverence is important, and I think that this sends a message that we care. Any other discussion? Senator Lynn.
Can I address SUFAC?
Absolutely, yeah.
Does SUFAC as a whole feel that that number 15,958 is sustainable for this current fiscal year?
I don't want to decide on behalf of SUFAC, but in my purview as chair, I find it likely that that amount is added to the contingency fund at the end of the fiscal year, at least, likely more.
Any other discussion? President Bradley?
If I were a senator, I would have made a motion to go for a lower overall percentage. Really would have liked to see something around 4%. What that does is Isaiah made a really good point about the message we send. I think that sends a message that, sure, we have a ceiling requested by the chancellor at 5%, but we're really good stewards of these funds, so we can keep it at a full percentage lower. It also shows that we could have put it at 3, but we are very invested in engagement. We want to keep it at 4. I like that it's kind of in the middle there, and I would have, in a perfect world, if I got to choose, I'd put it at 4%.
Senator Geely.
I am in agreement with President Bradley on this one, actually. I feel as if 4.5%. Sorry, let me gather myself. So while I feel as if we could go with 5%, and I how there is an argument for it, I think that it's hard to, never mind. Never mind.
Senator Purnell?
I think the 4.5% number is great because it is enough of a decrease to send the message of we are looking to cut spending and give our students a more affordable price while giving SUFAC enough to not cause deficits in activity.
Senator Lee.
I think 5% is good too, because it just gives
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't hear that last part.
I think 5% is good. I think it allows for better financial status for my constituents. I think that it's just a good position.
It's good what?
Position to have.
Thank you. Senator Janetti?
I agree with the overall sentiment that, it should be lower just to show the constituents that we are thinking about them. However, I would agree more with President Bradley's approach of decreasing it by an higher percentage point. I believe just a 0.5% decrease isn't necessarily sufficient given, obviously, the amount of the money coming back into the contingency fund isn't set or fixed every year. There is a decent amount of data to conclude that at the very least, $15,000 or $17,000 would likely happen. So I would be more inclined to support a 4% or a 4% increase versus 4.5.
I'm gonna accept a friendly amendment to my motion to change it from 4.5 to 3.5. And I'll start discussion by saying that this was my intent to lead discussion, is I want to see exactly where we're comfortable being. So discussion is open on 3.5. There we go. Senator Lane.
Same question that I had before, does SUFAC or SUFAC feel that the new other percent is sustainable?
Yes.
Senator Marty?
I'm more of an opponent for, I am more interested in the 4.5% because from reading the whole budget and going through it, I see that clubs have a lot of demands and we need to make sure that and we also need to recruit more students in order to get our contingency to build up and to beef it up. But I'm more of that, but we need to make sure to fulfill the club's demand. So I'm going to vote. So I would argue for 4.5%.
Senator Lieber?
I disagree with 3.5%. I think it's just pushing the pen too high. I think it needs to go, stay at 5%. I think we're doing our constituents an inservice by raising their finances too high because this institution already is expensive and college and also just expensive and not everyone has the same financials. Some lessons. I think it should stay at 5%, 3.5.
Senator Lieber, I think
Yeah.
you're flipped on this. A 3.5% increase is contributing more from contingency, so it'd be lower fee for students. A 5% increase.
Yeah, can I ask a clarifying question for Senator Lieber then? Does that change your perspective?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That's what I thought too. I'm glad.
Okay, I thought that the 4% increase is going to.
Yeah, so just to provide some clarification to the body now. If, let's say we were to go with a 0% increase, that would mean that last year, students paid $43.21. And this year, students are gonna pay $43.21. If we go with a 1% increase, it means students are going to pay roughly $40 more. 40 cents more. If we go with a 4% increase, it means students are going to pay roughly 20 cents more than that, 22 cents to be exact. So the fee per student line, could we highlight that? Where it's driving? That line, the closer you get to 5%, the more students pay, but the more money comes out of our contingency fund. The closer you get to 0%, the less students pay, but the more money comes out of our contingency fund. Did I say that correctly?
No, but we follow.
Yeah, are we following?
As the percent that, or the amount students pay goes up, the amount from contingency goes down and vice versa. Said it all but
Okay.
one word.
Okay, sweet. Senator Janetti.
I just wanted to say that I'm in support of increase of 3.5%.
Senator Purnell.
I think 3.5% is too low. This is a drop of about $3,600 that we would have an additional $3,600 that we would have to take from the contingency fund. I think this would this would cause visible changes from campus.
Too bad from the front. Sorry, there was a laser pointer and I was like, chat.
Being obnoxious. Now it's on the minutes. Here's what I want to remind you of, and hopefully it's helpful to you all. We have the best kind of budget situation possible right now because no matter which column you choose, the funding is the same, right? You've decided the students get $397,000. They're going to get that whether you choose 3% or 5%, right? So on one side, you have that covered. So now it's deciding if the contingency fund is healthy enough to be able to eat a deduction by any of those dollar amounts. And then on the other piece to it, right, how it's going to impact students. So really, you don't have to worry about the impact on the orgs. It's about where do you want the fee to sit, right? Where do we want that percent increase to sit? And if you can focus in on that piece, I think it'll get you where you need to go.
President Brett.
I was gonna say, and it took me a second to remember, I forgot my placard was up. I am comfortable with the 3.5% increase for your constituents, considering the SUFAC chairman's guesstimate, educated guess, that the $19,609 will be replaced at the end of the year with unspent dollars by student organizations.
Senator Geely.
I am also in favor of 3.5%. Simply because it's kind of the best of both worlds. People can argue for the 4% because I can't formulate my thoughts right now. Just cannot.
Thank you very much. Senator Purnell.
While we might not see changes in the funding for student orgs for this upcoming year, I would argue that in future years, we would see that because of the percent that we would have to increase in future years. As we talked about, a 5% from a 5% is different from a 5% from a 3%.
Senator Geely.
Yes, all right. So are you saying that all of these categories are sustainable for the contingency? In your opinion?
Based on the last 5 years of looking at our contingency fund, yes. I would say emphatically, yes.
Senator Lang and then Senator Lieber.
I guess I just agree with the 3.5. I think that puts us in the best position both ways. It's not taking too much into contingency, and it's also not hurting students too much to the point where they feel like we don't care about them. Yeah, that's.
Senator Lieber.
Well, if from Senator Geely's statement, a question. In that box, that wouldn't hurt the contingency, then I would like to make a motion to bring it down to 3%.
So you're making a motion, you'd be amending the motion on the floor, which is going from 3.5 to 3. Looking for a second? Seconded by Senator Geely. We're into discussion. Senator Lieber, you can start.
I think bringing it down to 3% will still maintain a good number for contingency funds. But again, it's making it cheaper for our constituents. But honestly, I'd rather have it taken out of the contingency fund than out of because it has there's so much things to be taken.
Mine was friendly with this. So. Parliamentarian Reaver.
I kind of want to just put a logistical thing out there. When we were discussing this in SUFAC even, not only how much comes out of the contingency fund is what's looked at. It's also what Kim said before about kind of kicking the can down the road. When you're not asking student orgs or not asking students to pay any more in fees this year, they kind of have an inherent expectation that maybe they won't have to pay as much next year. And whether that's true or not is not necessarily known, but at the same time, you set people up for expectations that cannot be given to them if you lower the percent more and more. So the more you cut into the contingency fund, obviously the less there is in there in total, but it's also showing groups that they can go to the, you can take more, and that's a viable option, which is not going to be a viable option forever. If
Advisor Billy.
So one of the things that we didn't go over tonight because it wasn't material to your decision making is that there was a dollar amount that was in the concert reserve fund. That is going back to the contingency fund because it was allocated initially for us to do a magnet event for Spring Splash. And we asked for direction from SUFAC as an SAI office about what we're supposed to do with that. And they graciously gave us feedback, which was we're gonna take the $35,000 back into the contingency fund. And that's $35,000. So
That's not in the math on the other
that's not in the math, right? So whatever number you care to pick is your choice, of course. But the reality of it is that you don't, I mean, yes, there's some of the other implications about rising fee in later years, but you don't have to worry about depleting the contingency fund because any of the numbers that you have in front of you are covered by the $35,000 going back into contingency. So it really should not be based on your concern about the contingency fund's ability to pay those percentages. It's because it's already there. It should be about the rise of like, if it's 3%, what someone said 3.5, another person said 5%. The fee will take a more significant jump potentially next year if you don't subsidize it the same amount. Does everybody understand that?
Yes. Can I ask a clarifying question, just so I know?
I'm sorry to bring it up, but I felt like if I
No,
didn't,
I
it would
think
be
that's,
truthful.
I think that's really important. So what I've heard is that there's $35,000 that the contingency fund will gain this year.
Yep.
Will be swept back in, so all of these dollar amounts would be covered. Yeah, I mean, like,
Not
like,
jointly, but
not, yeah, not a, yeah.
well,
The dollar amount is not represented anywhere up there at
That
all right now.
$35,000 does not exist.
For revenue. It was a carryover request that was only partially funded, and the remaining money, 35,000, will go back into contingency and will be added to the contingency numbers that are on the spreadsheet above the chart above this one.
But I would add, to be fair, is that, let's say, trying to think, the women's gymnastics team goes to the national championship. We don't know that. We don't know if the football team's gonna win past Saturday, right, the 29th. So you don't know what is coming, that the contingency fund will be asked for. All I'm telling you is when they figured out the balance that was in there, and there were a couple of people that asked questions about its sustainability at that level, that 35,000 wasn't taken into consideration because it was a stipulation that was waiting to be approved.
You're totally. What?
There's also $17,000 of contingency fund that already is coming up this year though. So like, it's a balancing act, and that's a number at a point in time. It's not taking into account the requests we've already had this year for contingency funds or what's coming back in.
And-
So
And all of that along with the understanding, which was my very first question, which is, it seems like there are lots of folks, and by folks, I mean student organizations this year, that will be going to contingency fund because in past years, they had been funded for things through annual budget allocations that SUFAC is now encouraging them to come to contingency fund with. Is that not, how should I better phrase it? How could I better?
We are hopeful that student organizations will come and ask for their contingency requests for one-time purchases. It's not at a higher rate the things that are one-time purchases this year were one-time purchases last year and the year before and the year before. They've always been separate requests. There was one year where SUFAC said, well, we'll just vote on a contingency request right here and right now, which is probably why I confused you. I apologize for that. That hasn't happened in a while. So all those one-time requests will hopefully come to us, and we will still have more than we're supposed to have in the contingency fund. I'm gonna say one more thing, and hopefully I'll just stop talking then. So, I would not, nor does SUFAC believe that a 0% increase is the right move, because it is kicking the can down the road. However, a 3% increase is more like a slow incline instead of a steep incline, right? So 3% is not going to put us so far behind. I don't anticipate it. We don't know what requests are coming in. But a slow incline is much easier to handle for students and for all of us than that steep one. So
We are on an
yeah.
amendment to a motion. So right now, we are at an amended motion from 3.5 to 3. We'll have to vote.
So 3.5.
No,
You amended an amendment?
I made a friendly amendment to my 4.5
Yeah.
to 3.5.
Somebody else?
Somebody else took us to 3.
I don't remember.
We are on, Senator Lieber, in fact, took us to 3. I don't remember who the second was, but we are on 3. Just so everybody's locked in. We are on 3 is the amendment to the amendment. I made a friendly amendment to my amendment, which means we did not have to vote to make that amendment go through.
No.
And there was a second. If this amendment passes, we still have to vote again on that new number, which we have,
Vote twice on a change.
which we need as a dollar amount at some point.
The 3% is
Yeah.
21,400.
Oh, there it is. Look at that. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay,
This is clarifying additional to previous.
Sufak from the front.
Sorry, I know that's so loud. I'm just so much shorter than Nick. I just want to add some clarification when we're talking about organizations coming back and requesting contingency funds. That does not mean that everything they requested to us at this time would be approved in a contingency fund. There were some things requested that SUFAC can't fund at all per our guidelines. So that doesn't mean that the amount that is the difference between request and allocation could all even be requested or allocated by SUFAC. I hope that provides a bit more context as well.
Yes. We're gonna go Lang, Director Rosequist. Senator Lang.
Just to piggyback off of what Secretary Greenberg said earlier, I think we need to be careful about sending the wrong message to students. Obviously, the less money students have to pay, the better. However, we don't want to put ourselves in a position where they're expecting to not pay, and then we put them in a position in the following year where they have to pay. For whatever reason, whether that's because the contingency fund or there's some other unforeseen circumstance. I think we have to remember that we're all students and we're all paying money, but we don't want to send a message to the people that we represent in this body.
Director Rosequist, and then I have something.
Would highly encourage the Senate to vote for a 4% increase. If you are looking at like a basic CPI inflation calculator, the buying power would be so 43.21 in September of 2024 would be 44.51 in September of 2025, meaning that the buying power like of the dollar has increased. Therefore, if we were at 3%, that would be the same in 2025 as saying a 0% increase. So I would argue to stay in line with what SUFAC and kind of what has been encouraged with the 3 to 5%, stay around the 4% mark.
So
Does that make sense?
can I ask a follow-up?
Yeah.
And I'm asking this out of sheer ignorance. When you say your last point, based on SUFAC's recommendation, from approving a 3, and I'm not trying to take your words out of context. Approving a 3 is like approving a 0, but on what time scale? So from 2020, does anybody have from 2023 to to now is like 2025 to 26?
Yeah, so if you pull up like a basic inflation calculator, it'll show.
I'm asking about specific years.
24 to 25, September to September is what Maddie said.
Yeah, we
One
don't
year.
have the data for October or November, so we'll like a September.
Mhm.
So that would be like a 0% increase, just based off how the dollar, like the value of the dollar has.
So now, so if that were to hold from
Yeah.
25 to 26, it would be like a 0% if we were, because it's, okay, now I get it. Does that make sense to everybody else? Because that's a great point. My slow brain did not understand it for a little while.
Dollar is going down.
Yep.
So to stay equivalent, the buying power, percent increase is needed.
Does that?
Yeah, no, I
Okay.
think it's a wonderful
Sorry.
point. Any other discussion? Senator Purnell?
I think that's a great point to account for inflation. That mixed with the expectations that we're putting forward for our students, I would feel uncomfortable suggesting anything less than 4%.
Do you have your plaque still?
Oh, sorry, haven't.
As a quick aside on that, I have changed, I guess, slightly in understanding that new information. I'm not sure I would feel uncomfortable with anything under a 4. I think I'm still at 3.5. But I would probably vote nay on 3. Senator Martin.
I was wondering this 4% increase for the contingency fund. Could we do a royal purple segment or something among the paper lines? So
I'm not sure it's relevant to the current discussion on the floor. Senator Gillig?
As of now, I think I'm actually going to vote no on the amendment as well. Because it seems as if people are torn between 3% and 4%, and I think there's really good arguments for both. So I think a good middle ground would be 3.5%. Agreeing with ISIS.
Wonderful. With that, seeing no other discussion, we'll move on to a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, when you're ready, a vote of aye will be a vote in favor of amending to 3%. So what that means is you are not approving 3%. And just so we have the motion correct, do we have the number? So 3% is where we're currently at, which means we are amending from 3.5, which is a dollar amount that I don't have in front of me, but 3.5, which is 19,609 to 21,435. So a vote of aye is a vote in favor of making this number, but not approving it overall. Not yet, at least. And a vote of nay is a vote to keep it here. Understood? Madam Clerk, when you're ready, would you please call the roll?
Senator Purnell,
Nay.
Senator Reberg.
Nay.
Senator Reyes.
Nay.
Senator Vanderhyde. Senator Wheaton. Senator Carter.
Nay.
Senator Janetti.
Pass.
Senator Gielig.
Nay.
Senator Lang.
Nay.
Senator Lieber.
Aye.
Senator Majors. Senator Marty.
Nay.
Senator Janetti. Speaker Wilson.
Nay. Vote of
Point of order?
Senator Rodriguez.
Abstain.
Okay.
a vote of 2 to 11 to 1. The motion fails. So we are back to 3.5%, which is my original motion. So I'd love to start off discussion. I think it's great. I plan to vote aye. Any other discussion? President Brandon.
I'm in favor of the 3%, 3.5.
Any other discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. A vote of aye will be a vote in favor of approving this dollar amount
to be taken from the contingency fund to supplement the dollar amount we have already approved, which is $397,513. So we are taking $19,609 to supplement
To supplement the collected
To supplement the
fee,
collected
to
fee.
Total the 309.
to total that. Those words, President Brad.
So it's good to assume that if you approve this, the fee charged to each of your constituents individually is $44.72 for just the alcohol
I'm gonna
side.
check with my folks who understand the numbers better first.
Correct.
Yep.
Yes, President Bradley, that is true to the best of my knowledge. With that, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Senator Reber? Senator Reyes?
Nay.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Nay.
Senator Vanderhyde?
Aye.
Senator Wheatland?
Aye.
Senator Carter?
Aye.
Senator Janetti?
Aye.
Senator Geeling?
Aye.
Senator Lang?
Aye.
Senator Liebert? Senator Majors?
Aye.
Senator Marty?
Aye.
Senator Patricus?
Abstain.
Senator Purnell?
Nay.
Speaker Wilson?
Aye. And a vote of 10-3 with one abstention, the motion of we have approved $19,609, which is a 3.5%, to put the fee at $44.72 per student. And with that, we have come to the end of unfinished business. No, we haven't. No, we haven't. Oh, my goodness. But we have come to the end of this year's SUFAC process, at least in the way. We're not gonna on the back. I'm not one for tears, but I'm bawling because I'm so proud of you all. This was your first time going through a SUFAC process. It was awesome. It was electric. I'm so proud of you all, for real. You did great jobs. You asked great questions. This is one of the most important things we do every year, so thank you for sticking in there. Let's go on to item C, which is S 25-2603, resolution to strengthen shared governance through necessary and essential revisions to section 8 of the standing rules of the Whitewater student government.
Recess, we can locate submitter Chair Andy Holmbeck.
That won't be possible.
Okay.
Okay. With that, we are on to discussion on the legislation. So, any discussion?
It's a great bill.
Submitters?
I'm a big fan of this bill. I don't think I have to say that, but I never got the shot at. I never had the chance to take a crack at the advisory council stuff until just now, and so I'm very happy with where it's landed. I think there's still work to do in the space of connecting the two campuses, but I think this is a great step in that direction, and I'd like to continue. I don't want this to be the final step. I'd like to continue stepping in working to connect the two campuses.
I have one, Senator Brown.
The bill gives less authority to advisory councils than I would have liked. However, I think it is overall an improvement.
I think the advisory council stuff is wonderful. I love our current SUFAC chair and cannot wait for him to begin receiving invites to cabinet. However, I think in principle, and I've thought a lot about this, I don't think the SUFAC chair should receive an invite to cabinet. And by that, I mean the president's cabinet. It's in the packet somewhere. It's in your packet if it's been sent out to you. I thought a lot about it. I appreciate the submitters clarifying the verbiage
so that it is more expressed that they are only receiving an invite, that their attendance is not required in any way. It just makes me uncomfy. I think the SUFAC chair is somebody who, everything we just went through, I think it's pivotal that that SUFAC chair remains neutral. I have full trust in the current SUFAC chair to continue remaining neutral. But I'm gonna stop right here. Clap your hands right now. Thank you so much. I think our current SUFAC chair, there's very little you could do to corrupt his fine soul. I'm not worried about him being on cabinet or being invited to cabinet. I just think it sets an interesting precedent that worries me for future presidents and SUFAC chairs. I think we need to separate those things very cleanly. That said, it's work we can do in the future, and I am in favor of this bill. Senator Burnett.
I agree with the speaker. I think it's important that SUFAC and WSG operate as two separate bodies. And I think that might blur the lines a little bit, but I still am.
Any other discussion? Going once? Going twice? Submitter?
I like the language of SUFAC chair is extended an invite to executive board meetings rather than being a existing member of the board. Then it protects SUFAC's autonomy, and while it is not fully autonomous, as it is subject to Senate oversight, I am not under anyone's direction other than my committee.
Any other discussion? I have one extra piece of discussion. In future, just for the sake of the speaker and for the sake of the clarity of our constituents who may be reading our internal documents, I think we should avoid making bills titles so long and whatever that, I think it's unnecessarily whatever, it's, who wrote Lord of the Rings? That guy? I think it's Tolkien-esque. Any other discussion?
Sure, to that point, I'd say it was a point brought up in CRC that the title wasn't clear enough. And so the submitters made an amendment to the legislation to make the title more clear for your constituents, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, President Pratt. Any other discussion? Going once, going twice, seeing none. With that, we'll move into a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, when you're ready, would you please call the roll?
Senator Reyes,
Yes.
Senator Vanderhyde. Aye. Senator Wheaton.
Aye.
Senator Carter.
Aye.
Senator Janetti.
Aye.
Senator Geelig. Senator Lang.
Aye.
Senator Liebert.
Aye.
Senator Majors.
Aye.
Senator Marty.
Aye.
Senator Patricus.
Aye.
Senator Purnell.
Aye.
Senator Reberg.
Aye.
Senator Reyes.
Aye.
Speaker Wilson.
Aye. And with that, Bill S-25-2603, resolution to strengthen shared governance through necessary and essential revisions to Section 8 of the Standing Rules of the Whitewater Student Government has passed unanimously. All righty, wonderful. And with that, you're not going to believe it, but we're back in order, and thus we're on reports, starting with external committee reports. I'm passing the gavel off to my good dear friend and parliamentarian. Oh, and Deputy Speaker, as soon as he takes his name tag. He switched name tags. Deputy Speaker, Nick Patricus.
We're on external committee reports, starting with the co-curricular committee. Speaker, if you'd like.
Good to be here with you all. So the co-curricular committee met last week. I'm going to pull up some notes here from the last meeting. But the meeting that happened on October 14th, which we did not have a student representative at, the committee was tasked with creating an official definition for the term co-curricular. So you may be familiar with the term extracurricular. You may be less familiar with the term co-curricular. And the committee started in a place where they were, I would say, also pretty unfamiliar, because we did not have a definition anywhere in the university apart from the strategic plan. So we started with that information in mind, and the committee came up with, if you give me one moment, I can give you the exact definition. Okay, so the committee on October 14th, 2025 came up with this definition, which I am looking for feedback on. So you can email it to me, you can come chat with me afterwards. But in the last meeting we had, we were specifically tasked with going back to our departments, of which I do not have one, but I do have a governance body that I can go back to for feedback. So if you could all provide me some feedback on this definition, this is what the committee came up with. Experiences outside of the classroom that provide learning and overall student success. The committee said that, while concise, the text was carefully chosen to identify co-curricular as having a direct impact on students, that it aligned with the success framework, that it aligned with engagement and belonging, career preparation, academic achievement and persistence, and our core competencies. In terms of the related criteria, the committee agreed that it has to be considered co-curricular, so there has to be a measure of accountability. So as we move on to the meeting that I and Senator Schwafnagel went to last week, we were tasked with creating a list of activities that students engage in that we thought fell under that definition. So we came up with a multitude of different things like student employment, things like McNair scholars, things like student governance, student leadership, student engagement, which, to be measurable, kind of the committee seemed to fall in a place where they said that had to mean you competed in some way, that it was in some way tied to your coursework. I brought to the committee a few things with Luke. Luke and I had chatted before we went, or Senator Schwafnagel and I had chatted before we went, about what that definition really meant to us. The committee seemed to be tasked with this task of defining co-curricular for external factors. So there is a lot that comes with creating the definition of co-curricular so that we can communicate with external stakeholders. We have this many students who engage in co-curriculars, et cetera. This is what our criteria and definition are. I think it does something different for students. Not different, but it adds to what students get as well, which is it kind of provides some insulation for students in terms of an extracurricular is seen in a very different way than a co-curricular. So a co-curricular is a little more protected. It's a little more insulated for students. We brought that up at the committee, but looking for feedback on that definition. I will get it out in the minutes, and if anybody remembers it, or I'll read it again once more before I yield. The definition that the committee created was experiences outside the classroom that provide learning and overall student success. We are currently going through the process of creating criteria and things that fall under that criteria so that we can go back and refine that definition. I yield.
We're into questions now for Speaker Wilson, Assistant Advisor Bilgan.
Can you share any discussion or what to call it, context when they use the word accountability?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and that's a question that I asked her early on in that committee meeting. What does accountability look like? It seemed to tie back to how are students measurably affected. So if a student participates in tutoring, or they are a tutor, let's say, they're a volunteer tutor, how there has to be some measurable way that student changed from the beginning to the end. That seemed to mean two different things. One of them is, right, what effect did the co-curricular have on the student? The other one is it's probably not, with rare exceptions, I believe the committee said, something that happens one time. So shared governance as a co-curricular, if it were to be defined as one, this is something that we come and we practice multiple days a week. We have office hours, we have Monday night meetings, that kind of thing. I guess maybe if you participate, we had a long conversation about, does being a boxes and bridges speaker count as a co-curricular? And it seemed that the committee kind of fell on the side that it wouldn't, because even though there's an effect on the student, it's not continued and measurable. Did that answer the question? If you follow up though.
Sorry, just my quick follow-up is, so I'm gonna give you an example.
Please.
So first year students in the room that participated in U Lead, or people that aren't first year students anymore that participated in U Lead, they have a higher persistence rate and a higher graduation rate than the student population, right?
Yep.
They do that for 3 days.
Mhm.
Is that persistence rate considered an accountability measure?
It's a great question.
It's-
No, we brought it up at the committee. So we talked about new student seminar. We talked about ULEAD. We talked about how those things are different, right? Does every student that goes through new student seminar, like their retention rates are higher, their persistence rates are higher. Is that the same thing as ULEAD? I'll tell you what, just as a person, it doesn't, like as a student, it doesn't feel like it. Those feel like very different things. But we need to find a way through this definition and through this criteria to distinguish those things. I think that's important. And I can very confidently say the committee is not there. Committee is not there yet, but we have progress, we have hopes. And it's important stuff. It's important externally, but I think it's even more important for students.
Are there any other questions for Speaker Wilson, Senator Marty?
What about marching band or co-curricular?
Yeah, so that's a great example of the kinds of discussions we're having in the committee. If you're receiving credit, it's curricular. Cut and dry. That was something we said very early. The seeming exception, and I'm not quite sure why, was like field work for GIS, for biology labs, that kind of thing. Possibly like a study abroad, right? So a study abroad, you're maybe spending a semester in Italy. You're getting credit for that semester in Italy. You're probably doing a lot that's also co-curricular that you're not particularly getting credits for, if that makes sense. But again, this is a pretty gray area, which is why I think y'all's opinions on this definition are so important. So please, please, please provide them so that the next time we meet, I can come back with a very long list of why students love, don't love, or think that the definition is not descriptive enough, let's say.
Any other questions for Speaker Wilson? I have one. Did you submit your
I didn't.
minutes to the clerk?
I didn't.
You did not?
No, I did not.
Are you able to do so?
I will indeed do so.
Thank you.
My apologies, Madam Clerk.
One more final question. Can you read that definition off for me?
I can, yeah. So through much discussion, the committee suggests the following definition of co-curricular: experiences outside the classroom that provide learning and overall student success. I'll read it one more time. Experiences outside the classroom that provide learning and overall student success.
You're looking for feedback on
I am looking for feedback on that definition. Not right now, but please get me definition on that feedback so that it's not just my feedback in that committee room, but ideally a list of written feedback on that. I've talked to both Director Reiser and Director Gross about what they thought as well. So that'll be represented as well. Dankeschön.
Seeing no further questions, we'll go into internal committee reports, which we have none of. We'll go to officer reports, starting with our Vice President, Mr. Parker Bam.
It's been a long one.
No, please.
Happy Thanksgiving, and I will yield to my report.
Any questions for Vice President Bam? Seeing none, we'll go into the report of our WSG advisor, Ms. Jan Bilgan.
I yield after I say, have a happy turkey day.
Any questions for Advisor Billigan? Seeing none,
Last time you do, sorry, y'all.
we will go into our Director of Academic Affairs, Ms. Abby Reiser.
I also am gonna yield, but please invite a break.
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll go into the report of Olivia Gross, our Associate Director of Academic Affairs. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll go into the report of Oren Smith, our Director of Student Affairs.
Apologies, I will not be. So this last week, we had the safety walk. It was super successful. We've gotten a lot of really great feedback. I'm very proud of this project. And there are some exciting updates to be shared at the Student Affairs Committee tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. I'll see you all bright and early. Last week, I also had some one-on-ones, and then, oh, thank you.
I had some one-on-ones, and then I had a couple of committee meetings. The week ahead is a little bit light due to break, but my calendar is always up to date. If you want to meet with me, we had a 2-on-1 earlier today with Sam Blake about the Pride Center. I met with the Campus Safety Committee earlier today. We have Student Affairs, and I thought I had cabinet when I wrote this and have since learned that we do not have cabinet this week. Another note, campus award nominations are open. I serve on the selections committee specifically for the Diversity and Inclusivity Awards. So consider nominating someone. It's uww.edu/awards. If you're bored during winter break and looking for something to do, that's a good opportunity. And with that, I'll yield my report.
Are there any questions for Director Smith? Seeing one, Senator Lang.
So there's a plethora of options. There's student awards, there's faculty and staff awards. There's really anyone who's impacted you in some way on campus. This is not, that link that I mentioned is not solely the Diversity and Inclusivity Awards. They're just a part of campus awards as a whole. So there's a lot there on that website.
Senator Marty?
How do you qualify for the award?
Each award has pretty specific recommendations under each award for what they are meant to recognize. So I recommend looking at that website to see specifics. It's a lot to summarize in just a quick response.
Yeah, you. Peek up.
Wonderful. With that, we will move on to our Associate Director of Student Affairs, Patty Rosas.
I'm going to yield to my report. Let me know if you have any questions.
So with that, we move on to the report of our Director of Communications, Paige Linneman.
I will also be yielding my report tonight.
Wonderful. With that, we'll move on to the report of our WSG President.
Thank you all very much. I will be yielding my report. Before I do, I'd like to wish you all a very relaxing and well-deserved Thanksgiving break. Whatever you do, whoever you do it with, I hope it is a blessed time and you enjoy doing it. I will yield.
Any questions for President Brandon? With that, we'll move on to the report of our WSG Clerk, CDJ West.
I yield.
Any questions? That will move on to the report of our Senate Parliamentarian Officer Weaver.
So I'm going to yield as well, but I do want to say that outreach is technically due November 30th. Now, if you email me, pretty flexible about it. So please email me and we can get it figured out. So you don't have to figure out doing it this week. I yield.
Any questions? Everyone's going to seeing that. With that, we'll move on to the report of our Deputy Speaker, Nick Richards.
Happy Monday, everyone. There are no office hours required this week. Thank you to those who already did them, but you are excelling in your work. I'm going to send out a survey for office hours, just of how I'm always trying to improve, so how I can do them better for next year. I haven't put that together yet, but you'll get that at some point. That a yield.
Any questions for Deputy Speaker Patrice? Once going twice, seeing none. With that, we're on to my report. I will not say, last week I was handling a lot of SUFAC emails, making sure that folks understood maybe why they received funding, why they didn't receive funding, or how we could help them make contingency fund request, or have a senator make an adjustment. So that was a lot of my week last week in terms of like tangible stuff I was doing. The big thing I wrote in almost all caps, very large on my agenda. Committee work seems to be something that's very important to lots of senators. I am taking kind of an internal tally. I would like to make that tally external. So if you could come chat with me after, if you feel in any way like, gosh, I just want to have so much more committee work, come chat with me and I'll see. I just want to have a record of your names. That would make me happy, and we'll see where that can go afterward. Sound good? Wunderbar. Any questions? Going once, going twice. Seeing none. With that, we're back into new business. We've got item A, the Senate approval of the clerk nominee, Sadie J. West. President Brad, I think I'm going to do a whole meeting like this at some point. President Bradley, whenever you're ready, you have the floor.
Oh, it's kind of slimy now after I gave it to you. Good evening, Senators. My name is Doug Bradley, Student Body President. I can hear you. I am pleased to nominate Sadie West to continue her service as clerk of the Whitewater Student Government. Sadie has brought exceptional reliability, precision, and professionalism to this role. Qualities that are not just beneficial, but absolutely essential for the position she holds. She has mastered the complex procedural requirements of our organization, ensuring that every meeting is properly recorded, every vote is accurately documented, and every action taken by this body is fully compliant. Sadie's attention to detail is unmatched. She consistently produces minutes that are thorough, impartial, and ready for public scrutiny, which is critical in an organization subject to Wisconsin open meetings and public record laws. She understands the weight of that responsibility and performs it with a level of care that protects both our transparency and our credibility. Beyond her technical skill, Sadie brings fairness, discretion, and a steady presence that grounds our meetings. She meets deadlines without exception and approaches the role with deep respect for the trust I've placed in her. These qualities make her not only qualified, but uniquely prepared to continue serving as clerk. Reappointing Sadie ensures the preservation of stability, accuracy, and integrity in the most important procedural role within the Whitewater student government. Tonight, I respectfully ask for you to reappoint Sadie West as clerk of the Whitewater student government.
Wonderful. With that, we're on to questions. Are there any questions for the candidate or the president? Deputy Speaker Patrice.
Mr. President, how did you ensure that this application was open to all students and that all students were able to apply to be our next clerk?
It's a fantastic question. We felt that we had a fantastic candidate and did not need to look for an external candidate. We re-interviewed Sadie and confirmed she was interested in the role. Was with a resounding yes. And there is no doubt in my mind if all 12,000 students of the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater applied, Sadie J. West is the best candidate to serve in this role.
Right. I have a question. It's primarily for the clerk, but you're welcome to answer. Is it true that despite the speaker repeatedly asking, may I and please, he never thanks the clerk post roll call, despite their continued roll calling? Is that true?
You do sometimes.
My eyes must just glaze over. Well, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you, question mark, as a question. Director Director Smith. It's been a long night.
This is directed towards the clerk, but the president can answer as well if you'd like to. If you were a tool in the toolbox, what tool would you be and why?
I looked back earlier, see what I said last year. I said a nail because I support others, but I'm typically more hidden as I try not to talk during meetings unless I have to. So.
Senator Martin?
When will the History Archives Committee happen?
I'm hoping to meet. I don't want to meet during finals week because that would be mean. And I didn't want to meet this week because 2 days this week, that would also be kind of mean. So I'm hoping the week we get back from break before finals, but I'm planning on us, I don't know, trying to figure out a plan just because then we go right into break. So it's not like we can do much at once, but
So you are in a bad, so this is just a bad time. of the
we'll meet. Don't you worry.
Any other questions going once? Going twice? Seeing none. If not, I have just one final question. So according to the standing rules at least, an interesting role of the clerk that I don't think a lot of people understand is at the start of every Senate term, the gavel passes from a speaker, which we don't have, to a deputy speaker, which we don't have, to a parliamentarian, which we don't have. How do you intend to be able to run that meeting, send that agenda out for the time with which you will have that role and task?
Good question. Last spring I sent out the agenda and I passed the gavel to President Bradley. I believe him and I are going to have discussions, very long discussions on how the first meeting is going to be ran this spring. Very long discussions and to try and follow our constitution and standing rules, but we will see.
That question is for the president and the nominee, if possible.
Yeah, we'll have a brief discussion about what the passing of the gavel to the president looks like.
All right, any other questions? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Wonderful. With that, we'll move into a roll call vote. How do we?
I can call it.
Yeah, can
It's
you-
too weird. I can, well, I can
Advisor
call it.
Rogan.
I apologize in
Speaker Patrice.
advance. Or Debs, you can do it. Yeah, have him do
Technically,
it.
it goes to vice president, then every member of the A board, then the president.
Let's
and
get it
then
over there.
This is a little weird to ask her to call her own vote.
I'm so happy.
Then when you're ready, would you please call the roll?
Senator Carter.
Aye.
Just click the, yep.
Senator Giannetti.
Aye.
Senator Geelig.
Aye.
Senator Lang.
Aye.
Senator Lieber.
Aye.
Senator Majors.
Aye.
Senator Marty.
Aye.
Senator Patricus.
Aye.
Senator Purnell.
Aye.
Senator Rayburn.
Aye.
Senator Reyes.
Aye.
Senator Benner.
Oh, sorry.
Senator Wheatman.
Aye.
And Speaker Wilson.
Aye. And with that, the clerk has been unanimously reappointed to her role. Wonderful. With that, we're on a new business, if you wouldn't believe it, and we're on to announcements. I have a huge announcement. If anybody wants more committee work, please come talk with me. I'd like to write your name down. Other announcements. Senator Wheaton.
I'm currently selling cookie dough with Pies from Epsilon, so if anyone is interested in bringing frozen cookie dough for the holidays to bring to events, I can come to you afterwards.
Tomorrow.
Deputy Speaker Patrice.
On behalf of the SUFAC chair, I want to thank you all for this wonderful process we just all did. In my humble opinion, is the most important thing we do as a body. So I'm happy to see yet another year of it have gone through smoothly, at least thus far. Knock on wood.
Parliamentarian Reber.
If you don't have an outreach done, please email me by the 30th. If you're not going to have one done, we'll work on it. We'll figure it out.
Any other announcements? Going once, going twice? Director Smith.
Hey, all.
If you'd like to podium or stand, I don't know what your vibe is.
Hey, y'all. I'll pretend this mic works.
One more time. There we go. Hey, y'all. I wanted to speak to you all directly. because this moment is pretty personal for me. This isn't, as you all have seen from my announcement on Friday, I'll be resigning effective January 1st. And this isn't just me stepping out of a position. For me, it's me closing a chapter that has really shaped who I am. I don't often get to be just Oren in this role, so it matters to me that I get to be him right now. My time in this organization has been rooted in 3 core values: recognition, service, and community. Seeing people, showing up for people, and building something bigger than any one of us. And underneath all of that, there's another value that I didn't always name, but felt constantly, which was kindness. Kindness in how we talk to each other, in how we hold each other, and kindness in how we make space for each other. And I want to be honest, I haven't always gotten that right. There were times when I was tired or stretched too thin or hurt and didn't lead with the kindness that I wished that I had. And I tried. Every day I tried. And when I missed the mark, I reflected on it and I grew from it. This organization has been a part of my life for a long time now. I'm the longest serving member here, which is wild to say, even out loud. But the thing that stays with me most isn't a title or a position. It's a small moment from my very first year. I was this nervous senator who barely knew what I was doing. And right before a meeting, the person who held the role that I now hold noticed that I did not know how to tie a tie. And instead of laughing or ignoring it, he quietly pulled me aside and taught me how. That tiny moment changed me. It showed me the kind of leader that I wanted to be here. Somebody who notices, who steps in gently, someone who helps without making anybody feel small, and someone who leads with kindness. This journey hasn't always been smooth. Hard work, important work, never is. After my first year, I actually left. I didn't know how to advocate for myself in the way that I advocated for everyone else, and I needed some time to grow into myself before I could grow into a role here. I applied for this position 3 times. This semester alone, I've been working about 25 hours a week for a role that contracts me for 10. And I didn't do that because I had to. I did it because I believed in this place and this work. But serving students takes more than just me. Here's the thing I've learned the hard way. Community only works when it's reciprocal. When the people who pour in also feel poured into. And when effort is met with care and not doubt. And somewhere along the way, that balance disappeared for me. Despite the hours, despite the intention, and despite how deeply I cared, I still heard things, hurtful things, that I wasn't doing enough, that I was bad at my job, that I was stealing ideas. And when you're giving everything you have, hearing words like that doesn't just hurt. It hollows you out, and it makes you invisible in a space where you once felt seen. And I want to be very clear about this. I'm not leaving because I'm angry. I'm leaving because I'm exhausted. And that kind of exhaustion that comes from caring deeply, but not feeling that care reflected back. And I don't want to stay so long that that exhaustion turns into resentment. And I want to leave while I still love this place. And I do love it. I love this organization. I love what we stand for. And I love the students that we serve. And I love the people here who give so much of themselves to make things better. So here's what those students need you to do more of, something I hope you really hear. Be kind to each other. Not just when it's easy and not just when you agree, but in the moments where you're tired or frustrated or unsure, in the moments where kindness feels like the hardest choice, that's usually when it's most needed. We lose too many good people in student leadership because we forget that we're all still learning. We forget that we're human beings before we're roles, and we forget that a little compassion can go a long way. Kindness isn't weak. It's the thing that keeps people here, and it's what drives belonging. I'm honored to leave this place with gratitude still intact, and I am grateful for the laughs, for the long nights, for the breakthroughs, the lessons, and the moments that shaped me. And I'll still be cheering for you. And more than anything, I hope this continues to become more of a space where people feel valued, supported, and truly seen, not just for what they do, but for who they are. Thank you for letting me serve. Thank you for shaping me. And thank you for being a part of a chapter in my life that I will carry with me for a long, long time. Thank you.
Now we're on to adjournment. So I motion to adjourn and I'm looking for a second. Senator Lynn. Can I get a voice vote? Acclamation. With that,